You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Shortwave. How's it going, man?
Good morning to everybody in the world. It's going all right. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Pretty good. We had to move the show to Sunday because we were doing some family stuff yesterday.
How dare you change the time, Doug? How dare you?
I know. I don't like moving it though. I like keeping it that Saturday morning because it's consistent. Everybody knows that's when it's going down. And then also just kind of gets it out of the way for the weekend. So then my weekend begins right after, Otherwise,
Yeah,
I don't really then.
Fair enough. It's all right to do it on Sunday though, because you know it's either going to happen Saturday or Sunday. It's going to be one of those two. So you just kind of keep an eye on the X accounts and stuff like that, and be like, okay, when is it? Is it going to be Saturday or is it going to be Sunday? Because we know it's going to be one of the two.
Yeah, exactly. And also, not gonna lie, I was considering skipping this week because it's like end of August. You got the August doldrums, but not in Monero. I mean, it's definitely not boring times right now in Monero. So I felt like we needed to keep this going, jump on, be the voice for those in the Monero trenches. I honestly have not been paying super close attention this week. I think there was a dev meeting. I jumped into that, tried to follow that. These dev meetings these days though are so like long. It's like it's like a wall of text. I think this one took like a couple of hours because obviously there's a lot going on. There's a lot to discuss. Very exciting to see all the chatter though and all the discussion. For those who don't know what I'm referring to, I think everybody tuning in does, is the fact that Monero has been dealing with an attack of its proof of work consensus model. Cubic basically attacking Monero's pools and using an incentive to bring more hashing power over to their pool and pull miners away from things like P2 pool. I'm referring to Cubic. They're still, I believe, I don't know what they're doing now, right? I feel like they now subsided a little bit. They retreated a little bit. I guess they're mounting for the next attack. My understanding is there was a halving, so the incentive model was going to change a little bit. Like Cubic was going to become a little bit less attractive. Like we should see a price dip or something. I don't know. But that wouldn't even make sense. If a halving means there's a cutoff of supply. Shortwave, clue me in on that. What was wasn't there some kind of epoch that was supposed to happen this week or like the 20th with regard to Cubic?
So I haven't been paying too close attention to this, but from what I understand, Cubic had a halving on the 20th, or was supposed to have a halving on the 20th. And what that would do is not necessarily cause the price to go down or anything, but it would decrease the total supply issuance.
Right. So the mining.
Therefore, mining would become less profitable.
Okay. Yes. Right. Unless the price, like whatever, doubled.
Yeah, and good luck with that.
Right. Yeah. So what have we seen since then? Because that happened, I think, on the 20th, right?
I mean, the last time I checked, which was earlier this morning, Cubic was still getting about 30%, like 31% of the hash rate, but they haven't been like spiking. They were doing this weird thing where they were like turning on and off their hash rate all the time. So like on days where they were attacking, they'd turn it on, and then the days they weren't attacking, they'd turn it off completely. And then when they attacked again, they'd turn it on, and then they'd turn it off. I haven't seen that. It seems to be consistent now. And they seem to be consistently getting about 30%. So what they've done is they've just made the Monero network more secure than it otherwise would have been so far.
Right, which is great. So it's like proof of work. I'm seeing people like putting the nails in the coffin for RandomX. When this first started to break out, I mean, I was of the mindset of let's be open to all things, and I'm still very much of that. There's talk of essentially adding a proof of stake finality layer. I'm open to it. I'm not one of these people who are like fundamentally opposed, because I think proof of work is the only way, and it's kind of a law of nature that a blockchain, for it to truly be decentralized, needs to be running on a proof of work model. I haven't been convinced of that. There's very intelligent people that have been, like Arctic, I think is that. Although I do see him openly looking at these options, but he's very much always been very pro proof of work, and kind of sees proof of stake as like fundamentally flawed in terms of being able to be I've always been. Yeah, I just want to finish thought. So I've not always been, but more recently have become more and more open-minded. The longer I've been in this space, the more open-minded I've become. Less MEXC I've become, and that's because I listen to the smart people. I listen to the devs, and I don't like hold on to ideas that may not be the determining factor of this, whether or not something like Monero succeeds, right? I see like people holding out to false prophets, like proof of work shouldn't be your hill to die on, right? Decentralization should be, censorship resistance, withstanding being co-opted, right? These bigger ideas, like that's proof of work is just a means to an end. And there's some really smart people who are convinced that adding some kind of proof of stake element could very well bolster the network in a way where we wouldn't have to worry about something like Cubic. I mean, why wouldn't you consider that, right? Considering that's the reality of what's happening right now. We're seeing this attack. It's not theoretical. Cubic actually exists. They've actually disrupted the network. Meanwhile, we talk about all these other theoretical things that could happen to, as reasoning as why proof of stake is worse than proof of work. But yet the reality is we're seeing an attack on proof of work. And I think we need to be open to considering these things.
I think we do need to be open to it, but I think it should be put farther down on the list. So I would exhaust all of the proof of work methods first, such as Bawdy's proposal of doing the timing weights, and this possible proposal of doing the of stopping selfish mining by doing like the checking each pool to see if they're trying to build on a private chain first. Like if we exhaust all of the possible methods to prevent proof of work problems first, I'm okay with possibly doing proof of stake. I just don't think it should be, oh my God, we've got this problem, we need to switch to proof of stake right now. I think we need to exhaust proof of work options first.
Exactly, and that's the point I'm getting at. So while I'm very open to proof of stake finality layers, doing a proof of work, proof of stake hybrid, I'm also not ready to say RandomX is dead, right? That's the other extreme of the spectrum. Like people are like, oh, RandomX is dead. Like I don't think we're there yet, guys. The experiment, right? The dials have been turned, right? There's been a stress test on the Monero network, on its proof of work consensus system, and it didn't break. Monero itself didn't break. The 10 lock confirmation requirement worked as intended. That's why that exists. That's why it's there. So everything kind of worked as intended. Now, what we could do is now go back and learn from that and figure out how to even avoid it getting that bad under a similar type attack. But I don't think it means RandomX is dead by any means.
Yeah, absolutely. They managed to do a 7-block reorganization. They did not do 51%, and they did not hurt the network in a fundamental ways.
I mean, RandomX excels when everybody, when every CPU is like mining Monero in the background, right? So it's like, how do we get there, right? And that's really the chicken and egg problem. But RandomX really excels when you just have a much larger group, using it globally, right? The problem is Monero is very small and it hasn't really crossed the chasm in terms of its mining network, right? I feel like it's crossed it in other ways, right? There's network effect among people who actually use it more so than any other crypto, or as much as the top ones, right? Like Bitcoin and I don't know, maybe like Dogecoin, Lightning, right? Like Monero is arguably the most used crypto for digital cash purposes, and it's excelled in that, and it's achieved network effect in that regard. But it's mining network, right? It's the hashing power. We're being tested right now, and I don't know if we've really truly crossed the chasm yet.
Yeah, as I said, my thought is just to have like each Monero GUI, as soon as you open it, be, lightly mining in the background, not enough to cause your computer to slow down and everything else, but just doing a little bit of hash in the background, maybe like, couple hundred hashes to a second, maybe to a kilohash a second, like 10% of your CPU, whatever 10% of your CPU would be just mining in the background while you're running the GUI and other things like that. And that way you're helping to secure the network, but you're also not like causing your computer to slow down and be unusable.
Yeah. I mean, with the Node project that we're working on, we started talking about like mining devices, right? I do think there's some exciting ideas there, but that's down the line, right? I mean, it would be great if you walk into a Home Depot and you buy a space heater that has a Monero miner built into it, right? Like
I would
point where
that.
it's a lot of the but I don't know, does it make like you try to run the numbers on that, like people say like ASICs are actually better for that purpose economically if you're trying to, I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's what I've been told. I would love to talk to Howard Chu, man. Howard, if you're out there, you've been tuning in, I'm sure you've been banging your head like, oh, this idiot. I'm sure you've been banging your head with a lot and hearing what a lot of people are saying. I know you would probably love to come out and kind of clear the air right now, is in terms of what your take is on RandomX right now with regards to what we're seeing. I have a feeling you would say everything is working as intended. Howard always made clear that mining isn't really, it's never going to really be super profitable with these CPUs, and that's not really the point of how this is going to be successful. But it's got to be profitable to some degree, right? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's opportunity, really, right? So I think people should be viewing this as an opportunity. Things need to be invented, created, pushed forward in this aspect of Monero for it to flourish. And I'm certainly hopeful, because I think there's a lot of intelligent people that are putting, that are working on this project, not because they're getting paid, but because they're super motivated to achieve creating untraceable digital cash, and they're not going to give up. And right now, Monero is the experiment that everybody's focused on.
I think when you believe in what you're doing, you have the intention, like you have a motivation behind doing it besides profit. And I think that's what you see. It
makes you unstoppable as a person, right? Like you're like, how do I fuck with that guy if he's not motivated by money? It becomes very hard to prevent people from working on these, so that is Monero's greatest strength. That's always been its greatest strength, is its community, the people involved, and their shared belief in trying to build unstoppable digital cash. And I'm not seeing a weakness in that right now. I'm seeing indications of never being stronger than ever before, right? You're seeing so many people come out talking about throwing different ideas out there on how we could solve this. We're looking at what other projects are doing. I'm seeing other people that are perhaps more coin agnostic that are tuning in, but like, hey, Monero, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Joel from Dash made a pretty good post the other day talking about ideas of how to implement some of the, the tech that Dash uses and things like that. We're looking at, like I said, this finality layer, which the one that Luke was looking, I think that Luke was kind of talking about was what Zcash had essentially proposed in a paper. So we're learning from other projects. Xano, right? Xano being hybrid proof of work, proof of stake. Andre notoriously predicting that Monero would one day move to proof of stake. This is years ago, and people being like, "Oh, I guess." Like, I think people are becoming more open-minded and starting to look at what some of these other projects have done with regards to solving this problem. So I don't know where we're going. Like Shortwave was saying, I agree. I think there'll just be some like short-term, quick little fixes that we can do. We could get into some of those. I know Shortwave, you said you were looking at that latest idea. What is it called? That was pitched by Fluffy Pony. It wasn't really even his idea. I think once again, somebody had written a research paper on this concept. I don't know what project they're from. I think they're just like cryptographers or something. I don't know, Shortwave, if you've done the research on this at all. But this proposal that's being floated around, that seems to be catching some traction as a quick fix.
I haven't looked too deeply into it, but it's on GitHub. And from what I understand of it, basically it uses each pool would monitor every other known pool. And if there's a new template for more than like X seconds, it would each pool would automatically switch, say 1 or 2% of their hash rate over to that new thing, even though they didn't know it existed. And if the pool, like if the other pool accepts the jobs, then it's known that is that's actually legitimate and not like some sort of read-only thing to spoof whatever. And so the attacker would have less incentive to try to mine longer chains. Although I don't fully understand it myself, I'm not technical enough, but that's
all right.
what I do get.
Right. It basically makes it a little more difficult to achieve selfish mining. It pretty much eradicates selfish mining, right? It puts the pools. Go ahead.
I think the idea is to help stop deep reorganizations. So like we had the 7-block reorg and a couple 6-block reorgs. I think if this is implemented and done properly, I think they're talking about you could stop it from being 6 or 7-block reorgs and get it more like 2-block reorgs or 3-block reorgs at most. So like the amount of reorg you could possibly do would drop dramatically, which would also help protect that 10-block lock.
And and guys, once again, it's just another example too of us looking at other tech, other ideas outside of Monero, right? So once again, more reason as to why you shouldn't be a maxi, right? Because if you're a complete maxi, you're ignoring these other projects that are pitching these other ideas. I don't even know. Do you know the guys who proposed this idea? Are they from another cryptocurrency, or they're just like cryptographer or like blockchain?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I would like to maybe try to get them on the show, but I think they were Korean, or I don't know if they're English speakers, because that could be cool to talk to the guys who proposed this concept. What is it called?
Oh gosh, hold up a second. Go GitHub. Let's see. Implementing detective mining pool software change. No protocol change required.
Sounds good. No protocol change required. It just requires the pools to take action, right? They kind of have to opt into this.
Yeah, so support XMR and C3 pool and hash vault, they would do something on their end, but it wouldn't require a protocol change.
Right. I mean, obviously that sounds really good, right? I don't know what the downsides are of that. We could discuss that later. I'm sure Bawdy would have some good insight into that. Bawdy's been throwing around his idea as well. We don't have a special guest 100% jumping on at this point. So if there's people listening out there that think they might want to be the special guest, especially if you're, you know, an expert in everything that's been going on right now, if you've been following the dev chat closely, if you are one of the guys that have been in the Monero Lounge chatting, we'd love to have you jump up. I was trying to get Spirabel, but yeah, I don't think we've completely solidified that. Spirabel, if you're out there listening, please consider jumping up. Yeah, anybody else? Rotten, if you want to jump on up. I know you've been following things closely. We got a tip over here from Mr. Wonderland. How's it going, Mr. Wonderland? Hope all is well. Miss you since Porkfest. He tipped $1. I think Monero's proof of work is working as intended. The problem is the low price. With a higher price, the amount of hash rate should grow. If you compare Monero and Bitcoin, XMR is actually slightly better secured in comparison to its market cap than BTC. Yeah, that's right. So this wasn't just showing a potential flaw in Monero's proof of work, but in proof of work systems in general, Bitcoin being one of them. I mean, this was an attack on the concept of pooling, right? Which Bitcoin has pools as well. I think even right now, people were tweeting out that there's 2 pools that have over 51% of the hashing power in Bitcoin. Mr. Wonderland just making a point, though, if you compare, you know, the amount of essentially earnings you're getting out of mining per every 10 minutes versus the value of the chain that you're securing, even now, I think he's saying Monero's ratio is better than Bitcoin's, right? I think that's what he's alluding to, right, Shortwave?
I'm not totally sure. I don't really pay that much attention to Bitcoin anymore.
Yeah, I think compared to, you know, our market cap versus the amount of, you know, revenue miners can generate versus Bitcoin's market cap, which is astronomically higher, but it's not being secured by an astronomically higher amount of mining rewards. So yeah, we may still, in fact, have a better ratio, even given our current low price. So yeah, there's definitely a positive way of looking at all this. I think it is the only way to look at it. Like, Monero is surviving. It's being stress tested, but it's not dying. It's thriving in that you now have more people than ever looking at this problem, and other cryptos talking about it too. Like I said, this came up in the Bitcoin sphere. That you know, well, look at Bitcoin. There's 2 pools that have more than 50%. You have Cubic now talking about how the next coin they want to attack, or they're not calling it attacking, right? They don't necessarily frame it that way. Is Dogecoin. So, you know, Dogecoin has a lot of hash power, but are they susceptible to it? I mean, they could do the same thing and pull miners over to their pool where you're mining Doge plus Cubic. So we shall see. Supposedly, they're saying they need to do some tweaking before they could even begin to do that attack. But yeah, any proof of work pool mined crypto is currently susceptible to this.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And Monero has bent, but it has not broken. That's the thing, is we've bent. They definitely caused some problems, but we did not break.
Like a piece of steel. Yeah. Mr. Wonderland, you're welcome. Maybe you want to be our special guest today. You're welcome to jump up, Mr. Wonderland. I don't know, maybe DM us in the private chat if you can. Come on the link. Let us know if you're interested in jumping up today. Yeah, guys, send your Monero-based super chats to xmrchat.com/MoneroTalk, please. This is how, you know, we got to use it. We can't just talk about Monero. We got to use it. You don't have to be as generous as Mr. Wonderland. He sent $1. Some people sending very generous tips, so we greatly appreciate that. But you don't have to do that. You can just send a couple of cents. Monero's transaction fee is still cheap. That's one of the proposals I'm like, you know, instinctively against. When I say there's like red lines, like that's kind of more of a red line for me, wanting to keep transaction fees super low. I don't know if they need to be as low as they are, and I guess we could always go back. But I feel like Monero should always have relatively very low transaction fees comparable to how you want to transact with anything else. I think that's a great competitive advantage that Monero has. I don't know, Shortwave, if you have an opinion on that.
By the way, Bawdy says he's here, so if you want to bring him up,
yes,
if he's actually here and you want to bring him up, you can do so now.
We will. But yeah, what do you think of that, Shortwave? Transaction fees, the idea has been floated. Oh, we could just raise the transaction fees. That will increase the incentive for miners. But, that comes at a very real cost. I think transaction counts will go down.
I thought about that too myself, and I mentioned it, and somebody said something that I kind of agree with, actually thinking about it more, in that the transaction fees matter so little compared to the 0.6 XMR subsidy that it really wouldn't apparently do much to increase the incentive unless you did it by like 20 or 30 times the current transaction fees, which would make them too expensive.
Yeah. There you go. Right. So let's not touch that. Let's never touch the inflation rate, right? Like completely off the table. If we want to maybe move things, but it's the same amount of Monero that's being emitted over time, but at a different, rate, then yeah, open to that. But the inflation rate itself should never change. That schedule is fixed. There needs that's one of the social contract promises, right, in the Monero community, that we all agree that this was the inflation rate. We start to mess with that, you're really messing with the value proposition of cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah, you do not do that.
Yeah, right. It's like, why have it then at this point? You can't mess with the inflation rate of gold, right? Gold is what it is, right? We could figure out how to, mine more of it. But the way it works, right? Price just adjusts. So yeah, we can't mess with that. I don't think we should mess with the transaction fees. But open to a lot of other things, as long as it doesn't do anything to affect Monero's censorship resistance, or resistance to being surveilled, or resistance to being co-opted. And obviously proof of stake is a little bit of controversial there, right? Because we have to think through this. Is it susceptible to being co-opted in ways that proof of work aren't? So that's the big topic at hand. Guys, we have 104 live viewers. Like, retweet. A lot of people are interested in what's going on in Monero right now. A lot of FUD out there, right? A lot of misinformation. We were talking about this last week. Like, my dad was talking to me. He's like, "Hey, Doug, I saw Monero got 51% attacked." I'm like, "Oh my, like, you gotta be kidding me." Like, it's like one of the very few times my dad has started the topic of Monero. And that this is what he had come across. I was like, "Shit, we got a problem."
Yeah, they
good
did
in that.
They did a very good job with the campaign of social, getting the Cointelegraph and CoinDesk and all these big crypto things to talk about. Oh, Monero was 51% attacked when it wasn't. They did a really good job with that. And it kind of makes you think it's coordinated by a state agency, like an ABC alphabet agency or something like that. That's conspiracy theories, but conspiracy theories a lot of times turn out to be conspiracy facts after the fact. So.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be the state. It could just be, some group in crypto that's incentivized to keep.
I mean,
Monero's
Europe
lower, right?
Europe talked about doing this. They wrote a paper in 2020 or 2021 before I got into Monero, and saying that one of the ways they could cause problems would be to deliberately outright attack Monero.
Mm-hmm. And we do know state actors love, playbook is to control the media in a space, right? So what's the easiest thing? You can control these shitty crypto media outlets, right? So it does kind of make sense there that it could be what's happening, and it does seem very coordinated. So, I mean, once again, I see that as an opportunity, right? So Monero is being falsely repressed, right? It's like there really wasn't a fatal flaw, so carry on. Grab some cheap Monero while the misinformation's still out there, right? So
Exactly.
you can look at it as an opportunity when these things happen, because we know what's really going on, right? And we can stop and look at it. Wait a minute. All right, no, we see what's happening, right? Like you said, the steel is bending, but it's not breaking, and that's a good sign, guys. That means it's passing the stress test, not failing it. So take advantage of the knowledge that we have. All right, yeah, let's go ahead. We'll get Bawdy up here. We'll run the price report. Actually, right before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and quickly play our Monerotopia promo video. I'm going to start shilling the Monerotopia conference. I'll be focusing on that now. That's around the corner, February. We'll be in Mexico City again. It's going to come up fast, guys. If you're considering going, I recommend you grab your tickets, dedicate. The conference itself is very cheap to attend. The hard part is like you got to get there, get the plane ticket. But we choose Mexico City because should be affordable for a lot of people in a lot of different areas. If you want to fly in, from South America, if you want to fly in from the U.S., it's a pretty reasonably price. It's a very competitive flight. A lot of flights into Mexico City. It's cheap to stay in Mexico City. Obviously, prices go up. Been going up everywhere. Mexico City is a popular area, but there's a ton of accommodations, really nice accommodations too. There's nice Airbnbs. There's swank hotels, and there's like really like middle of the road, very reasonable ones that are safe enough. Showers work, and relatively cheap, especially if you group up with other people. And then the conference itself, we keep the ticket price super low. We appreciate those that buy the VIP tickets, but you don't have to. Although that is how you get the most out of it, because then you come to the speaker dinner and you chill with everybody. But general admission, we keep prices super low, and then we always say, like, listen, if it's about the ticket as to why you may or may not come to Monerotopia, it's free, right? So it's free for locals. We have the locals that just come into the conference. We don't give them access to the dome because we don't want people that paid for a seat to not be able to get a seat. But they're in the conference, they're in the marketplace, they're being able to go up to all the vendors, but also all the other, like the crypto vendors. They could go up to Monero 101 table, learn about Monero. They could watch the talks on the big screens, and we have a bunch of talks that we do in Spanish as well. But for anybody that's like, that can make their way there but can't afford the ticket, it is free for those that want to attend in that manner. We always keep it affordable, and what allows us to do that is our sponsors. So Monerotopia, I think, has figured out a pretty good business model here. We open it up to other privacy tech projects that want to participate, so we get to learn about these other projects. There's sometimes it's controversial, right? There is some maximalism in the Monero community. There's certain projects that aren't liked. We try to court ones that we think are doing interesting things that are relevant to Monero. So like Xano, Firo, Basic Swap, DarkFi, Pirate Chain, trying to get Zcash involved. I know I just can't wait if we get them involved. The controversy though will stem from that. How dare you get Zcash? I mean, guys, they do some really, they're on the cutting edge of the tech in the space. To deny that, you're being foolish. Now you could go into why they are the ones that are on the cutting edge and like where these resources coming from, but the point is that they have good tech, and I think it would be great to have some of their devs or reps attending Monerotopia and being on the panels. I would love to hear that type of stuff. And when people are in person, it's not like X, it's not like Twitter, it's not contentious. When you have devs on stages from different projects, they're just talking tech, talking shop, and it's really a great value that comes from it. And I think Monero, more than any of the other projects, that's the greatest part of this business model. I think Monero ends up benefiting more than any of the other projects that get involved, because it brings in the fans from those projects. They come to Monerotopia and they may be maxi with their crypto, but they come to the realization that, look, Monero is the one that's actually being used. So it helps Monero in that way too. So it's our sponsorships that allow us to keep the conference super cheap and affordable. And so, yeah, everything seems to work out. We're doing it again. Same place, same venue. We're at the Roma.
Do you have Tatiana Moroz coming again?
I haven't touched base with her yet, but I will be touching base with all those people. I mean, yeah, we had a magical group of people last year. It's like people were coming out of the woodwork to come. Hopefully Derek Burrows will be able to come because he's having his conference the week before. I will try to go to that because I know I would love to be able to do that because that'd be great. We'd be collaborating, and then he'd come to mine as well. Not sure if I'll be able to pull that off with my time though, but I definitely would like to try to do that. And so maybe we'll get people from his conference coming over to ours. But yeah, we'll try to get some of the people that were there yesterday. We had Ray Youssef there. We had Vlad. I think Vlad did a fantastic job. I hit him up. He's like, I don't know. He's like, Monero maxis are pretty pissed at me right now. I'm like, oh God, here we go. Like this is unfortunate. This is when you see the maxis ruining things, right? Like if I have people that don't want to come to Monerotopia because of like their feels with the Monero community, I think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's good. I don't think that's a good sign. I think it's a bad sign. I think that's one of the attacks we're seeing in Monero, right? Whether it's intentional or just people not realizing that it's not really helpful. That there's just the maximalism that we see in Monero where people are like, they'll just start attacking ruthlessly. They'll attack other projects. If you say anything about proof of stake, you get like attacked. Like that seems odd to me. It's like they don't want ideas to be discussed. I'm more alert to those types of things and wondering, all right, is this people trying to co-opt things? Because this is more things get co-opted by those that are trying to like control the messaging, shut down, talk, gatekeep. So keep an eye on that and be against that, no matter whether it's people like talking about ideas you agree with or disagree with. I think we should really try to shut down like any gatekeeping that we're seeing take place in the Monero community. But let me go ahead and quickly play the Monerotopia ad, and then we'll get Bawdy up here.
Tendrás cenizo el pelo, pero serás más hermosa. En la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, cuando llegará, cuando llegará. En la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, cuando llegará, cuando llegará. En la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, cuando llegará, cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, en la Candelaria cuando llegará, cuando llegará, cuando llegará.
All right. Oh my God, it's like hypnotizing that music, right? Sure. Did you enjoy the commercial?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was going to be a different one, but yeah, that was good.
That music is actually from a group that performed at Monerotopia. They were really good. So maybe they'll be participating again next year. All right, let me go ahead and run the price. I see Bawdy. Looks like he's ready to rock and roll. I'm going to go ahead and run the price report intro, and we'll bring him up.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
All right, we got Bawdy. Exolix. We don't talk enough about them. They've been a great sponsor for this show and for the conference as well. So we always appreciate them. And I think these instant exchanges are kind of more relevant than ever. You know, we saw what was the one that went down?
Trade Ogre.
Trade Ogre. I never used Trade Ogre. Obviously, you know, I would go on there, check out the prices of things. I actually never went out, but it had become quite popular. With Trade Ogre down, I feel like these instant exchanges are more relevant. We don't have a really fluid DEX yet, right? We have Sarai. We're waiting for, you can do things with things like basic swap, but you know, you have Avino, but you know, we don't have the feel of an instant exchange that's decentralized yet. That product does not exist yet. So these instant exchanges, I feel like, are more relevant than ever.
Yeah, Ritu Swap does have 10,000 total trades now, though. They just hit that today.
Awesome.
Yeah, everything seems to be coalescing around Ritu Swap. I bet that starts to take up more and more volume. I mean, for as long as the instant swap exchanges exist, you know, they're going to get used quite a lot. But you know, I'm glad to see Ritu finally starting to put up some numbers.
And those instant exchanges are reliant on the exchanges that they get their liquidity from, right? They're like, you know, they're getting that Monero from somewhere, right? So if we see any more delistings on any major exchanges, you know, they'll start to get affected as well.
Well, Kraken did delist Monero in Canada, so that affected Coincards. I know.
Exactly. That's what I'm alluding to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Kraken's been kind of shady overall for the past couple weeks.
Like shit, man. If Kraken were to delist Monero, I mean, I think some of those instant exchanges won't even exist anymore.
I think you better expect it to happen. I mean, they did it in Europe. They did it in Canada. The next thing is going to be the U.S. I don't know if they'll do it state by state. Or...
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe
if Jay Powell was in charge, if Jesse was in charge, then I don't think they would. But they had a whole change of leadership, so who knows?
Do you know who's leading it now?
I don't know who the new CEO is, but it's definitely not Jesse Powell.
I mean, they've never wanted to associate with us, which was always like straight, like, hey man, we want to like promote you or whatever. You're a big exchange, like, you know, the biggest, like the most liquidity of Monero is going through like a Kraken, right? And it's kind of interesting, you know, that they're like, yeah, but we don't make a thing about it.
That's smart on their part, actually. They're just like laying low. They don't want to. You know, they don't want to take a side. They don't want to like get behind some particular podcast. You know, they just want to stay as neutral as possible. I could see that. That's probably what I would do too, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to where does the Trump administration really stand, right? Like, so, you know.
I don't think it's about the administration at this point. If it was, they would have already delisted Monero. Like there's how many years has it been that they could have delisted Monero and everyone else was, and they haven't yet. So I don't think it has anything to do with politics at this point. I think it's almost entirely a corporate business decision internally. Now, that's not to say that.
Yeah, but I'm saying if they start to get more pressure, right? If they start to get more pressure, like let's say like Palantir's like, hey, you know, Trump, our services would work a lot better if this Monero thing didn't exist. By the way, okay, let me go turn that off.
I mean, that could change, obviously, but you know, if they survived the what did we call it, choke point 2.0, right? If Monero survived choke point 2.0 on Kraken after all this time, it's difficult to think that like the Trump regime is just going to come in and like suddenly change that. Now, maybe some other political regime could come into power, but that's going to be harder and harder as time goes forward, just because like a lot of this is now getting solidified into the law, into legislation, right. And you know, it's becoming pretty clear that like crypto is like absolutely beyond question legal in many, many different forms. So it's very difficult to think that like the regulatory pressure is going to push them against Monero. If there is pressure, it's going to be more so business pressure and or deep state pressure, like hidden nefarious kind of stuff. But it's not going to be. I doubt it's going to be at the regulator level at this point if it gets delisted.
I agree. I mean, yeah, that's why I you know, I do have faith that it won't get delisted on Kraken for that reason. I think I think things are, we're in a better position right now from a regulatory standpoint. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we shall see. Like we're talking about, maybe they get rid of the bit license in New York and things like that. So, I do think we're at a low point in terms of how bad things will get for Monero, and they'll only get better from a regulatory standpoint. Is my personal take on things. Obviously, things can change over. Yeah, we get some new administration in, things could start to swing back, but current trajectory. Bawdy, man, what's going on with price? I looks like we've been slowly making a comeback here as the FUD's getting dispelled. Other cryptos getting threatened with cubic attacks. What's going on, man? Is Monero back in action?
I mean, it stopped where we kind of expected there would be a good support area. It's come back some, not massively, not to where we were, but we're still above the that sort of long running 250 area, that $240 area where things took a while to break out from there. So we're still above that. It's not entirely terrible price action to break out and then come back down and test something, especially like in the worst case, narrative news scenario. And then if we make a full comeback to like 300, 350, then we should be good to go to like 500. But we'll have to wait and see on that. The crypto isn't exactly doing tip top at the moment, but it's nothing's in trouble either.
Well, Ethereum's been doing fantastic. What's that all about? That's because they've talked about like companies doing what Sailor was doing, but with Ethereum, right? That's kind of part of the catalyst?
Probably, I guess. I mean, Ethereum's more useful than Bitcoin. It's really just as simple as that. Like there's
like, if you actually like there's recent catalyst. It seems like there's some recent catalysts like that.
I haven't been paying too much attention to that, but I have heard some of the news or some of the rumblings of corporate treasuries doing Ethereum as well. That's probably, honestly, it's really probably just a matter of time until Ethereum's, really gains parity with Bitcoin in a lot of different ways. Potentially market cap, but in other ways too. It's just like if you're a corporate treasury or you're a corporation, a company, etc., like the entire monetary system is an integrated unit that depends on things like interests and contracts and swaps and bonds and all this stuff, right? And Bitcoin can't do any of that. And the only ways it can do that is through these like very convoluted means that nobody uses and isn't tested. Like, what are you going to do if you're a company? You're just going to use Ethereum if you want to use some sort of like mildly complex contract to do something. And so at some point, if the trend continues that companies start very slowly adopting this, we're not talking this bull market, we're talking like in the next 10 years, right? Next 20 years. Then ultimately it's going to swing towards Ethereum. It has to. And because if we want to talk about network effects, right? Like that was the whole proposition of MEXC, right? The network effects. You can't overcome a network effects. Like, well, okay, then Bitcoin can't overcome dollars network effects in that case, but whatever, putting silliness aside, the simple fact is that because Ethereum is significantly more programmable and usable, corporations are eventually, if they're going to adopt crypto, they're eventually going to move into something more like Ethereum than Bitcoin. Maybe it'll be something else. I don't know. Maybe it'll be AVAX, but I mean, the cards, the chips are largely in place, right? The cards have largely been dealt. Like, yeah, we still got the turn in the river that needs to hit, but we kind of have a pretty good idea of what things are looking like for crypto. And from here, it's just the slow game, right? Things are just going to slowly get built out.
Yeah. It's one of the protocols that's here to stay, right? Yeah, Bitcoin, Ethereum is the Bitcoin of smart contracts. Like it's here to stay. You're gonna have these other competitors that do stuff a little differently, but I don't think they're ever gonna overtake Ethereum.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the market cap, it's got the network effects. They've done a lot of work to actually do some reasonable kind of scaling on layer 2s.
Yeah.
Whereas Bitcoin is it's behind in every way. Like the only thing you would do with Bitcoin is just hold it just because everyone else holds it, and at some point that kind of logic starts to get harder and harder in the face of something like Ethereum, where you have this usability and you're like, oh, we could just directly swap on-chain trustlessly into dollars or into whatever else it is that you want.
Right. And people easily staking it, and that's all going to drive price up as well. But yeah, Monero, we do have Monero Treasury Company, Monero Talk LLC. We keep our treasuries all in Monero. I don't know. We got to go public. We got to take Monero Talk LLC public, and then we can just turn it into
man.
a
Let's
sailor.
take some fiat loans and buy Monero with it. Let's leverage the fiat system to pump Monero.
Let's do it, man.
And then claim
Figure
that was
live
the
on the show. I'm down. Just tell me what I got to do.
Yeah, I mean,
all right, buddy. Go ahead. Sorry.
No.
I was gonna say I'll let you take it away. I'll let you take it away with price.
Cool. Yeah, I should be sharing, hopefully.
All right. Oh, let me pull up your screen. Wait, what? Oh.
All right. So we got infinite regression going on. Sounds like a very fancy mathematical term. All right. Yeah. So here's the Monero price in front of us. And like we talked about just a second ago, we effectively hit these blue bands, right? And that was also convergent with our obviously with our 245 level, right? We kind of came up here and we spent some time, for months. I was like, nah, not yet. And then, finally it was time for us to break out. It was going to happen. We don't know exactly what was going to make it happen, beforehand, but we knew that it looked like it was starting to set up for that. And then we just, all we've done here is retest that level. And this makes a lot of sense. Like if you put aside and ignore for a second the bull market, right? And alt season and all the stars and dollar signs people are seeing in their eyes. If we ignore that for just a moment and we say, okay, just in terms of like regular price action, this is good. Like this isn't terrible price action, right? This is exactly the kind of like steps higher that you want to see. Don't get me wrong. Our price without the kind of suppression and fractional reserve that we've seen over the years should be easily like $1,000 or higher. And if Monero was treated like they treat other coins, falsely pumped and propped up, Monero would be thousands of dollars right now. We'd be a top 5 market cap. But that's the forces we're dealing with, right? Like there's nothing we can do about that. There's not much we can do about that. And Kraken has been shut down. They shut down withdrawals recently, and they shut down deposits recently, and they were down for like 36 hours. I haven't checked this morning if they reopened that. There was a Reddit post, and Monero Foxes actually still keeps track of a lot of that. So I appreciate his work. Tip of the hat to Monero Fox, who actually was a big part of helping us figure out that the fractional reserve was taking place. So speaking of fractional reserve and price divergences, right now, everything has, in terms of the percent divergence to Kraken, which is what this chart shows us, it's a question now if that's actually relevant, because if Kraken shut down withdrawals and if Kraken is fractionally reserved, I'm not saying that they are, but they have been acting fucking shady lately. So guys, come on, like we need better from you guys. Kraken, like I used an instant swap exchanger very recently, and it went through quickly. And so Kraken, like if you need to like increase the number of confirmations before you pay people Monero or before you confirm that their Monero was deposited onto your exchange, that's understandable. And that's what you guys have done with other coins in the past.
720? That seems ridiculous.
Is that their confirmations?
Yes, they'd say 1 day, and that's 720 blocks. It's like, okay, the default is 10. I could understand increasing it, but Jesus, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a great. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about, man. That's ridiculous. To increase it to that level is a significant overreaction, and it's difficult for me to believe that that's not a calculated overreaction. And it's difficult to believe that their delisting in Canada at this moment isn't also calculated. So I have both of my eyebrows raised. Not Jesse Ventura. Forget it. I was going to make a reference. Too late. Yeah, I've got both my eyebrows raised at those guys at this moment. I wish that Jesse Powell would. I wish he was still in charge, right? He seemed. I believed Jesse Powell was for real. You know what I mean? So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Here, but regardless, they didn't like. There was still a pretty significant divergence up to 14%. That's fucking huge. These scumbag exchanges, every single name here on the right, just think scumbag, belong in jail. I don't know how they're not in jail, right? Like Every single one of these guys, right? They diverge 15%. And this is the exact same thing that we saw last time in the last bull market. It's interesting, though, if you think about it, that we haven't seen a massive bull market, right? Like, yes, Bitcoin is in new all-time highs and Ethereum set new all-time highs, but we haven't seen a massive alt season. And they're attacking Monero with this kind of ferocity, right? They're attacking with this kind of bullshit. And the crypto market still hasn't really, truly taken off. That's not congruent to mad gains, guys, is what I'm getting at. Like, I'm not saying we won't have gains, and I'm not saying that new all-time highs won't be made in altcoins. But that's not super great from the perspective of asking ourselves, like, this is the kind of attack you would want to see when altcoins have like 2x and 3x their market cap, not just starting to get back to their all-time highs from 2021. But okay. Again, it's diminishing returns. I think crypto is it 3 trillion? Let's check it out. Let's go over here to total 3. Yeah, so to the point, total 3 is crypto market cap without Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you'll notice, it's at new all-time highs, right? It is sitting there at that 2021 level, but it's not, we haven't really truly broken out. Bitcoin is already about 2x from its previous all-time high. Ethereum is now solidly into new all-time highs, and total 3 is still kind of like just lagging behind. Now, this chart is bullish, right? Don't get me wrong. Total 3, basically, again, everything except for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Total 3 is at $1 trillion, and this thing is looking bullish, and they're printing new money every day. So this thing will go higher. It is setting up bullish, but it's just probably not going to be at the levels that we've seen. We're not going to get the kind of crazy mad gains that we've seen before across the board. And that's probably a good thing, guys. Like, I mean, there's just too much bullshit out there, right? Let's see, crypto at total market cap at $4 trillion, right? That's a pretty big number, right? $4 trillion of crypto market cap. And again, this chart is also bullish. In fact, this chart is more bullish than Bitcoin. Let's scroll back a little bit just so that you can get a feel for, the total bull market here happening. Yeah, I mean, you can see that effectively. So see these blue lines right here? These blue lines are the blow off, the standard deviation coming down from the blow off back in 2021 and getting above those lines, right? And then setting that as your kind of floor, right? That gives you your channel to travel in. So you've got kind of these purple bands, and this right here is our channel, right? This whole thing right here is our bull market channel. And even though we're not going to get the kind of crazy mad gains that we have gotten in the past, I do think there's a good possibility that the bull market might be able to continue for longer, right? Without having like this crazy blow off cycles and, crazy dumping, right? Like, we could actually get just kind of reasonably steady continuation to the top side for as long as we don't have a macro crash on the table. And right now there's no macro crash on the table. So the patterns, they all still there, they still there, but the patterns are all still there, but it's not time yet, right? So yeah, let's take a look at Bitcoin here. You can see Bitcoin, it's still bullish, just not as bullish as total at the moment. So that's why I've been telling you guys for the past few weeks, it is alt season. It is time to expect alts to outperform. Bitcoin could very well just kind of like trend and chop for a little bit while altcoins sort of do play a little catch up, which Ethereum has been doing lately. But, again, this is still a bullish chart. Right now, you would say, hey, this is a good support level, right? In a broader sense. And to believe that we're going to have a nice, strong bull market, you would want that level to hold, right? This is the level you would want to put a support there and then continue going up, right? Meandering higher. And gently positive action is actually far better for sustained price gains than insta pump, right? Than mega pump, than dollar signs in your eyes. You'll actually get more gains better over longer periods of time. Typically, it all depends, right? Like, half of you don't know how to hang on to your money, and crypto's going to crash, and you're going to need to sell it because you don't have a job, and you're fucking just staying in hostels and, I don't know, smoking weed and doing psychedelics all day. And then you have to sell your money for I don't know, to live, right? You have to sell your crypto to live. So half of you, it's just better that price doesn't have these crazy smash higher gains because you don't know when to sell. But anyways, but half of you do know what to do with your money. And so in which case volatility actually does help you because you just hang on to it. You never sell it. And so volatility actually ends up helping you over the time span of many years because volatility implies faster gains. It really does. Okay, but anyways, enough insulting the audience. Sorry, guys. Hey, but some of you guys out there, not all of you. Anyways, just playing, guys. It's all right. So yeah, here's the altcoin market cap. Right, like I said, hey, we've got an altcoin season, and you can see it very clearly. This is the weekly, and things have continued to move towards the downside. In other words, altcoins gaining on Bitcoin. Right, we're now at 58% dominance. That's still, God, I remember when 58% dominance was like, no, it's not going to happen. I didn't want it to happen, and I didn't want to listen to the wave magic. But hey, I mean, this line, once you start kicking off this kind of bullish action, it's a foregone conclusion that you're going to reach the upper standard deviation. That's just a chart exploring its boundaries. That's just natural action. So yeah, I probably should have looked at this chart, and because for a long time I said, well, I don't have an opinion on it, and that's because I guess I didn't want to have an opinion on it. So your emotional state can get to you. Like I didn't want this line to be the fucking place that we were going to stop out at finally, before alts made a comeback. But you got to look backwards and say, hey, where could I have made? Because I didn't exactly make a call on this chart, but I could and should have. Right, this dominance chart was going to 60, and I should have known that. So anyways, all right, so that's crypto. Maybe let's take a look really quick here at the Z scores on all the altcoins, and nothing really special happening here except for Monero kind of making a comeback. But I mean, again, it's funny too. I also have to stop and ask myself, is this a preparation so that they could do this later on? You know what I mean? Like, because we actually saw that in 2020. In fact, we'll just go back to Monero here, and I'll show you guys what happened in 2020. We'll go to the XMR.D. So before the bull market kicked off, immediately before the bull market kicked off in earnest, and that we knew that altcoins were going to go, Monero's dominance took made a big spike. Right, Monero's dominance went up. Let's just do a measurement there. Can I? Am I capable? Monero's dominance went up 64% in the fall. And then they kicked off the fractional reserve and started like opening a bunch of shorts against Monero. That's when they really kicked off selling Monero that they didn't have. And then the altcoin season really, busted out. And so we kind of saw a similar pattern here where Monero's dominance kicked off. Like we had a big movement upwards in Monero dominance. And my thinking is that's them actually acquiring Monero ahead of time so that they can dump it on the market later. Now that's speculative, but it's completely within the modus operandi for how these scumbags operate. And they are scumbags, and they do prop up their shitcoin prices. Like I told you guys before, they are probably propping up the cubic price to incentivize hash rate into cubic so that people can get paid, so that hash rate can get paid basically 2x what they would get paid as just mining Monero. So they prop up that price. And yes, that is an expense they have to pay, but it's an expense that is justified for them because now they can get everybody saying, oh shit, fearful of Monero, not going to buy Monero. They're going to go buy some other shitcoin. So that cubic payment, what they're doing there by propping up that price and overpaying for mining is them two things. One, they're going to be able to make up their deficits eventually and be able to reopen withdrawals from Monero eventually. But they're also, again, they can, with the social thing, like it's a very coordinated campaign. It's much more, what they're doing this time is much more sophisticated than what they did last time. So anyways, that's really what's going on, guys. Like, can I prove it? Right? Can I go to court and, make a case? No, but I'm telling you that is what is fucking happening. They are propping up cubic to incentivize hash rate so that they can do a selfish mining attack, put out bullshit, and then scare everybody as they pump their altcoin season. That is literally what has happened. And hey, I'm sorry. That's just circumstantially too many things for me to think that's not what happened. Also, there's a big question about Trade Ogre. And I also have big questions about Pirate Chain. Trade Ogre goes down. Monero gets selfish mining attacked and socially attacked. And at that exact moment is when Pirate Chain pumps 150%. Something's not right there, guys. Something smells rat in this chart and timing of what happened here. I don't have any specific accusations against anyone, whether it be Trade Ogre or the Pirate Chain guys. I don't know. But that's you have a coin that's performing absolute shit, that's setting lower lows, even in the face of a new altcoin season, and then suddenly makes this miraculous pump right as like one of the primary places that it's traded shuts down, and right as Monero gets attacked. Like, please. So I don't know what's going on there, guys, but this only makes me even more negative than I have been on Pirate Chain. I'm going to say it live on air. Fuck Pirate Chain at this point. Like, you can make your own conclusions about who or what, because I honestly don't know with those guys. But, and I'm not saying all the Pirate Chain people are bad guys. There are plenty of good people in Pirate, but whoever's behind this is there's something nefarious behind this, guys. Like, it's just as simple as that. Sorry if that pisses you off, but there's too much circumstantial stuff happening here to just think that this is mere coincidence. It's not. All right. Let's see. Oh, there's Tron. I don't know why I always keep Tron pulled up. I think TradingView, I pulled it up once, and I think TradingView just likes to keep it here forever. All right, let's look at Ethereum, actually. Let's just quickly, because Ethereum's been performing. So here's, yeah. What's up?
No, I don't want to draw too much attention to what you're saying, to what you're talking about. I mean, I don't want to cause drama. But what do you think, like, what's the potential, like, conspiracy here?
I don't know. I haven't thought through too much, hardly at all. I just know that I met one of the Pirate Chain guys, like one of the actual devs once, and I was kind of like, really? So I didn't get the good vibes there. But it wasn't like anything that I could, like, nothing that I would make a judgment on. I'd just be like, well, it's a data point, and I tuck it away in my head. So I have no idea, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm literally, it's not that I'm like hiding I think someone in this organization, etc. I honestly have no clue. I just know that is way too suspicious to think that's nothing, that's just coincidence. So they just happened to pump 150% at the exact moment that all this bullshit started unfolding. Like, it's really difficult for me to think that. So I don't know. People can do their own investigation or make their own speculations. But I just don't know much about Pirate Chain or who's behind it to really like make anything to really know.
I mean, it could be as simple as people that want to pump Pirate Chain, just seeing that as a good time to try to pump it because they see weakness in Monero, right? Like trying to like be vultures, like, oh, Pirate's now relevant, right? Because Monero's broken. Like, and maybe they just like falsely tried to pump it themselves and bring momentum in, I mean, who knows?
I mean, maybe it's as simple as that, right? Maybe it's as simple as an opportunistic mindset, but at the same time, it's also like, well, one of the main places that people trade that coin got like just completely like just disappeared. Like,
yeah,
we couldn't even say exit.
How is that affecting all these? I mean, how are you seeing that affecting all the cryptos that were traded there? Are we seeing? I mean, it's hard to.
I don't think it's honestly like, I don't think that Trade Ogre was. They every time I got on there, their volume was crap. Like, there was no volume there, so it's hard for me to think that such a low volume place is actually having any real effect on crypto prices. Now, whatever they were holding that they absconded with, now that might have, maybe that's a factor.
And you would think a majority of that was probably Monero. You would think.
Yeah, I mean, you would think at least privacy coins in general, but also Pirate Chain, right? Right. If it was Monero and Pirate Chain, you would think, hey, if they absconded with a bunch of Pirate, then and they're selling that, then you kind of expect the Pirate price to be to the negative. But Pirate Chain, like, listen, it's a scumbag move to ASIC mine 90% of the coin in the course of 2 years, and then pretend like you're like this like it's Zcash vibes, right? Like, oh, hey, we're gonna take a 20%, 25% dev tax, right? It's like, at least Zcash produces something, right? At least they produce research, and I can give them respect for that, even if I don't like the corporate nature of the coin. But like, Pirate Chain just mined a shitload of supply right up front and then told everyone, hey, come buy our coin. It's like, nah. So and then this kind of shit happens. It's like, it's scumbag vibes. It's like, come on, guys. Like, no.
Yeah. Just remember, guys, not your keys, not your coins. Use an exchange as a public restroom. You get in, you do your business, and you get the fuck out.
Yep. I like that. All right, well, let's take a look at the macro, and then I'll let you guys. We can get back to the more important discussions about tech and whatnot. All right, so we got dollar index stable, right? We said we just want the macro to be stable, and we can trust that things are going to continue on towards the upside overall. So oil also stable. Kind of made a little bit of downside here this week down to the 61 area, but still within a range that's not a problem for the general markets to keep going. We could take a look at the reverse repos, which I haven't looked at all week. And they are doing, oh my God, they reached zero. They basically reached zero, right? 23 billion is nothing, chump change. So 20 billion came down. There's not much more juice to be squeezed out of the reverse repos in terms of being able to take sort of stored energy and dump that into risk markets, which is one of the factors, like this was a big, and I know we talk about this a lot, but this was one of the big factors of we were saying, hey, the bull market is starting, the reverse repos increased significantly, and now they are coming down, and this money is going to go somewhere, probably risk, and that's going to pump risk markets. So as this came down, we were able to say, yep, there's more juice to squeeze here. Right now, there is not more juice to squeeze there, but that doesn't mean that there's not other places that they can print money and get money to continue pumping the markets. So
isn't it likely Jay Powell's going to turn on a money printer in like September?
Yeah, they talked about that. Apparently, they've been talking about lowering rates. Actually, when they start lowering rates is when I start getting worried again about the macro, because that's actually correlated with tops and markets. Believe it or not, they can start lowering rates and sort of continue to float markets for a period of time on that basis. But typically, that signals the beginning of the end. So of a cycle. So yeah, we'll wait and see. Everyone, there was like a big noise made, like, oh, the inflation or something, but I didn't think it was really anything significant. Nothing changed, right? So until something actually changes, I don't think it's really anything to worry about. All right, gold is actually, again, the longer that it continues to consolidate at this level, it's kind of two things. It signals that gold has strength to actually maintain at the 3,000 level, but it also signals like, well, hey, when are you going to break out, right? And the longer that markets continue to go up while gold continues to go sideways, that's more time that people might get antsy and say, well, let me go into the stock market just a little bit, right? It's gaining more. Well, let me sell a little bit more, right? So it's possible that, honestly, at this point, I don't have a good solid opinion about where gold is going to go from here. The fact that it's taken so long to actually try and break out a little bit higher kind of makes me think that it's, knowing the way that the gold chart moves, it's likely we're going to get a spike down before we get a spike up, if such a thing happens. So I'm probably would be in the favor slightly of gold taking a little bit of a dip here at some point, maybe not this week, maybe not this month, but before it breaks out, I maybe a washout wick, basically, right? A quick wick down. Stock markets had a little bit of negative pressure this week, but then came back at the end. So basically made another all-time high. Close to another all-time high. And then the China markets, actually, believe it or not, China did quite well. The Chinese market looks like it's trying to break out here. So China has been, the Shanghai index has been like just sideways for a very long period of time. So yeah, I guess Chinese stockholders are happy. And we'll take a quick look at bonds, right? So here's the rates, right? Flat. Still flat. Jay Powell is going to keep this thing flat until September, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, when you see this step down, right? When you see this thing starting to step down, that's when you start to ask yourself if the show is over, or if the final act is commencing before some new like crash scenario happens. But for now, again, it's everything's stable, macro stable. So for now, the name of the game is continued gains. So yeah, don't get antsy if you're on a dip on your altcoins or on your other investments, whatever. Things are still fine. Yeah, no economic numbers that matter. Yep. All right, guys, that's the price report. Oh, wait, one more thing. We got our hash rate, looking at our hashes, giga hashes, and then obviously our transactions per day is probably, let me guess, yep, 20,000, 25,000, where it's been the whole time. So, all right, guys, that's the price report.
All right. Thank you, Bawdy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you filling in with the co-host. I guess we lost Doug, huh?
I am here.
Ah, okay.
I had to step away for a second, but I was listening in. What is the in terms of hash rate? Are we seeing sustained all-time highs?
Yeah, basically. That's what it looks like. Average mining
right?
difficulty
It's like
per day.
mine. Yeah.
Looks like it's taken a little bit of a drop here recently in the past few days, but yeah, I mean, we're still seeing pretty high hash rate.
But I'm surprised, but we didn't even, so with the cubic stuff, did we reach a new all-time high? Because it looks like we reached it earlier, right?
Yeah, I mean, it does look like we've put on
when the price was pumping in like a couple of months ago.
Yeah. I mean, Cubic's strategy is not to bring new mining online. It's to leech off of existing mining.
No, I get that. I get that. It's to bring miners into their pools, but we're also at the same time we're telling everybody, mine. If you haven't mined before, now's the time. Like you would think you'd see, I would hopefully see an effect there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it does look like we have seen an effect. We have moved up in hash rate. It hasn't been huge, but we have moved up, a little bit.
Okay. Shit, man. We should move up more. Come on, guys, mine. What the fuck? I'm mining at home. I got my miners running right now.
Yep, my miner's running. As I said,
Like
I think when they put mining directly into the GUI, so that it starts up as soon as you boot the GUI, I think the hash rate will go up some.
Yeah, P2 pool in the GUI is huge. Like that needs to happen.
What do you guys think of this idea of like moving the decimal places for Monero?
Nah, unnecessary, arbitrary.
You don't think it has like a potential positive effect on how people view Monero, like on the noobs, right? Those of us that are in Monero for a long time, yeah, it doesn't really do anything. But for those that are like viewing Monero for the first time, getting acquainted with it, to see it at 10 cents instead of $100.
It's a nice idea. I just don't think it just won't happen, right? Like if we have the will, the social political will as a community to do that, then we also have the social will as a community to just start referring to Monero as picos, or just move the decimal point in your mind. As much as I hate to take a page from the maxis, they've got satoshis, right? And they have made a significant trend towards saying, hey, let's talk in terms of satoshis. And
I mean, that's what I do.
When Bitcoin hits 1 million, that's the point that it actually will probably start making a lot of sense to talk in satoshis.
That's what I do. I always refer to my prices in Monero.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You could say Monero, and that works equally as well. It's just too late it's too late for us to move the decimal point.
Yeah, I don't know what would be involved in even trying to do that, right? It's really like getting everybody that interacts with Monero to start like broadcasting it differently, right? Like the exchanges and right. I don't even know how you would go about doing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's bigger fish to fry, as they say.
Would be nice though, if it could be done. If there was a way to just snap a finger, do it. I think it would have a positive effect, but I guess it's not practical.
Yeah.
Mr. Wonderland tipped $50.30. Wow. Doug, please send 90% of this donation to Bawdy so that he has an incentive to prioritize his work on his proposal to improve Monero's proof of work. Yeah, sure. Bawdy, send me your address as soon as this is done.
All right.
And I will
Guys, please don't.
I will pass on 100% of that tip.
Mr. Wonderland, I really appreciate that. I'm asking you guys, please don't tip me. I don't need it, and all I do for the past week, I've been working on doing research on this problem, and it's like I'm building a simulation right now, and I'm actually trying to model network noise, right, network latency. I'm trying to build like a reasonably complex model that we can use to validate these. There's so many ideas, guys. Like there's so many ideas on the table right now, and Monero Research Lab doesn't have the time to get to all of them. It's going to take time to go through all of these different ideas, all these proposals, these research papers. And so like the idea that I had was good. And then the more that I researched it, the more that I realized like, oh shit, there's actually a lot of ideas that have a similar flavor. And I posted about this actually on Twitter. I think, so let's take like 2 philosophical steps back right here. There's certain types of thinking when you need to solve a problem and you need to use them both. One is called divergent thinking. And this is where you hear the neurodivergence. Cue the neurodivergence in their specialness. But you have divergent thinking, which is kind of like it expands into all sets of possibilities. And then you have convergent thinking, which says, okay, let's start removing possibilities. Let's narrow in on a solution. The more that I think people have looked at this, we're at a set of divergent thinking. And so it's like, wow, that's a lot of possibilities that we could do. So what should we do, right? Which is the one we should choose? It's a lot of analysis and a lot of math. So I think ultimately to answer this question, a simulation would be an extremely useful tool. So I'm building a simulation right now in JavaScript. Hopefully nobody yells at me for doing it in JavaScript, but it effectively you're going to be able to at least model an arbitrary number of miners. And then we can put different strategies into there. I'm making it fairly extensible, so it should be pretty easy to extend many different types of strategies for like things that we could change for the honest miners and testing out different types of selfish strategies, etc. I hope I can release something by this time next week and post something to MRL. It's maybe about half done, right? Like, and when I say done, like done is a very loose term here. But at least like an alpha release, right? Something that actually gives you numbers, that has at least some validation, and people can start going to work and validating it, critiquing it. Hopefully MRL finds it to be useful. I don't know, but that's all I do, guys. Like, you don't need to send me money. I'm going to do it anyways. That's all I've done this week, like, except for occasionally talking shit on Twitter when I'm waiting for AI LLM to get back to me. It's like a conceptual answer. Okay. So I know this has been a mouthful.
What are you using to build this?
What do you mean? Just JavaScript.
Okay. And so what can you simulate? Like what aspects of like what are we going to be able to test with the simulator?
So in a very specific sense, what the simulator does is you can input any number of miners, right? Any arbitrary number of miners, and each of them with an arbitrary number of hash rate. So what we might do is we say, okay, take 10 honest miners, give them representative portions of the hash rate, and then put X amount of hash rate into the cubic miner. We just call it, really, it's just a selfish miner, right? Like a single selfish miner entity. And then we simulate the consensus rules of the network, right? So you generate a block with a Poisson distribution with randomness. You generate a block, a simulated block, and then you conduct operations on that block. You have a miner that finds it, they broadcast it, and well, first you have to look at, okay, what is the strategy of the miner? Are they an honest miner or are they selfish miner? So you sort of apply the strategy. Okay, we have a new block, but I'm a selfish miner. I'm not going to broadcast this block. Okay, I'm an honest miner. Yes, I am going to broadcast this. So from there, you do some like network noise, some latency simulation, and you generate events for all the other miners, and then you create this event queue, and you just go one by one and say, okay, everyone receives this new block. How does it look from there? And did they have an overlapping block, right? Are we now creating a fork, right? A situation, like a collision where you have two blocks that got produced at the same time. And then miners, again, so they like generate their own events, and you apply latency. So it should be a reasonably realistic simulation. It also includes difficulty, but it doesn't like include individual transactions. So it's not at that kind of level. And hypothetically, you could simulate thousands of nodes out there. That would take a lot of like computational resources to do that. Like the simulation would bog down if you did that, most likely. But at least you can simulate the miners and the latency, because a lot of these proposals involve time as a component into trying to achieve protections. And so because time is a component, you start to ask yourself, well, what happens when we suffer latency issues? What happens if the global internet starts to suffer minor or major issues? And so you have to ask yourself, well, how do you perform in those circumstances? Can you heal from a partitioning of the network, right? Like, for example, if we did a rolling checkpoint, like a 10-block checkpoint, if the network ever fractures due to either a partitioning attack or just global internet outages, the network would fracture and we would never be able to heal without manual intervention. So like that's a big danger of some of these proposals. And so we have to be able, like, yes, you can do the math on that, but the world is noisy and the math gets too complex quite quickly. So really the best way to figure this out is a simulation in a lot of cases. So
that's awesome that you're focusing your time on this. Is this like one of the first times you've really been able to contribute to like the Monero protocol? Like, I know obviously
pretty much. I haven't ever really tried to contribute anything until this moment.
Awesome, man. So cool. That's exciting.
We'll see. Hopefully it's good enough. Hopefully it gets validated. Hopefully, and I haven't really pitched it to the MRL. I haven't really told them, hey, I'm working on this thing. So I hope.
Are you going to do a CCS? You should do a CCS. I know you're just in it for the love.
Nah,
but you should. No?
If I produce something useful, then maybe I'll think about taking some donations, right? If I actually do something and the MRL guys are like, hey, this is extremely useful, good job. Okay, in that case, I might take some donations after the fact, but I don't need a CCS to motivate me to work on the thing.
Out of curiosity, Bawdy,
Curiosity.
this would be a long one. But what do you think about like a 21,600 block checkpoint, which would be basically exactly a month? Like the idea of having a global internet outage or whatever for a month seems kind of ridiculous.
We could, but what would that accomplish? How would that stop the selfish mining attack?
Oh, true. That wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So, like with this this proposal that was recently put forth by Fluffy, the detective pools or whatever it's called, would your would your simulator be able to test something like that?
No, because Fluffy's proposal is more about detecting the moment of an attack by sort of spying on the on Cubic, spying on their messages to see what are they actually mining on. So it wouldn't really, like, in terms of simulation, it's not the strategy is more about a knowledge thing, or what his proposal is more about being aware and being able to sort of redirect hash power in the moment. Maybe you could simulate that, but it's not really a solution is the problem. Like my sim is designed to hopefully like help us parse how different solutions might perform in the real world against each other and what kind of expectations we would have under different network scenarios. And we could simulate, but like, probably there's a level that we could simulate, say, okay, well, when a selfish mining attack kicks off, then start adjusting the hash power a little bit higher for the honest miners. But that's not really, the problem is that's not really a solution. That's not a long-term solution. We need to come up with a way that, you know, that's get the firemen, get the hoses, you know, start spraying water on the fire. But we need to make buildings that are fire resistant, right? So we need a more general solution than that. But it's a good idea. Like I think they're already using it.
Awesome. All right. Should we go ahead? Should we do news, or we have Mr. Wonderland that can jump up and be our quote unquote special guest this week? Although I feel like Bawdy was just our special guest right now, talking about his simulator.
I have much more. Like I came across I'll tell you guys about it in the viewers on stage segment.
Okay, fantastic. Should we do news or Mr. Wonderland shortwave? What do you think? Is Tony ripping to go over here?
I don't really have an opinion either way. I haven't seen anything from Tony, but it doesn't mean anything.
All right, let me let's get Tony up here real quick, and then we'll do the guest. And then we'll go into viewers on stage.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right, Tony, what's going on, man?
Hey guys, good. How are you guys?
Good. Another week in Moneroland. Lots of action. No shortage of drama. All good stuff.
Going for the news is such an emotional roller coaster because we have positive news and we have kind of negative news. So you're going for the whole spectrum. It's funny.
Yeah, lots of things going on. So we could do summing it up, and then we'll have our special guest, and we'll let the people jump on after that. Viewers on stage.
All right, cool. All right, guys. So welcome to the new section. Let's get into it. We have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. So the first thing, kind of more light. So somebody said they convinced their school cafeteria to adopt crypto, and he can now pay his $6 coffee with Monero. And they said ever since they stopped accepting cash and exclusively cards, a lot of my friends and teachers, which is nice to see that teachers are into crypto as well, and this individual have been asking for adoption of crypto, and now they're setting up some kind of payment system. Not exactly sure what they're doing, how it works, the person said, which will accept USDC, Sol, XMR, and more. Interested to see how that turns out. We'll update with a video as soon as possible. And so I'm interested of how they are going to implement Monero, and I'm also curious to why the coffee is $6 in a cafeteria. And I guess the person said they're from Germany, but still, it's pretty expensive for a coffee. But if you can purchase it with Monero, then that's cool, and it's nice to see that this person's friends and teachers are into.
The sad part is that's actually not that expensive if you get a coffee out.
Yeah, if you go out, but like school cafeteria, it's a bit too much, unless they only serve. I don't really get coffee, but I don't know, some kind of special matcha latte with, I don't know, crazy stuff. But yeah, it's cool to see. Then moving on, this is a UI/design job opportunity for Monero. So if you want to get paid in Monero, this is a job opportunity. The person is seeking a UI designer for his upcoming website, which aims to replace Get Monero. That's a bit too much. And then RB Runners 7 commented that, maybe you meant to compliment, not really replace. And so essentially,
Yeah, like I don't know why the guy just tries to rub everybody the wrong way. I mean, it's kind of funny. I guess he's just constantly trolling. But sure, make your competitive website. I don't think we need to replace the primary source of Monero knowledge, right? It's doing its job. Yeah, but create a competitive one for sure. Just don't shit on the existing one.
Yeah, that's a bit much saying to replace. But essentially he wants to make he wants to design a sleek, user-friendly, dumbed-down site for retail investors.
And we definitely need that. The more resources, the better. So yeah, especially like we're constantly saying, just use Monero, accept Monero. All right, that's great. Then you have people who are like, sure, I would love to do that. How do I do that? It's like, well, it's like we definitely need, there's improvement that needs to be made there. Even, we struggle with it, right? We accept Monero, we use WordPress, we were using the Monero gateway for a while, and we just recently moved over to the BTC Pay server. But it wasn't all that easy. It's becoming easier. We have people improving that. Some improvements came out of Monerotopia conference actually from the hackathon, and they're continuing to work on improving BTC Pay server. But there's a lot of improvements that need to be made overall. So lots of room for opportunity. And yeah, good to see that people are jumping on it, right? So where they're seeing they're picking up the slack. So it's nice to see.
And so in the meantime, like, it's nice to have as many resources as possible. We also have the Monero Garden by Andreas, which, they basically made the Monero understandable in, easier formats for retailers. So, but it's, obviously not shutting this down. And it's very important to have as many resources as possible. It's funny how he also said that Get Monero is more for a little higher IQ people. And he aims to woke up the retail. But yeah, so this is a job opportunity. If anybody is interested to help with this person, then go ahead, because we need more resources. And and then moving on, a bit of Kraken. So they are delisting Monero in Canada in September. Better switch to RetoSwap, said Tux. So they wrote the official statement from Kraken, says, at Kraken, we're committed to complying with local regulations, and due to recent compliance requirements in Canada, we'll be delisting XMR for Canadian clients. What you need to know, effective immediately, XMR deposits are paused for Canadian clients. September 2nd, we will disable trading for all XMR pairs for Canadian clients and move accounts to withdrawals only for XMR. XMR withdrawals will remain available after trading is disabled. What to do? If you're a Canadian client holding XMR, please withdraw your XMR to a personal wallet or convert it to another asset before September 2nd. Now, again, in case you're new to the show and new to the whole space, if you have anything in any centralized exchange, like Slave Shortwave said, just use it to pass through. Purchase it if you want, and then put it in a wallet. But don't keep it there, because things can happen. You want to withdraw and then you can't. So use them like a toilet, like Shortwave said. Just use it and leave. And okay, so this Canada's regulatory news does affect Coincards. And essentially what they're saying is that they need to add a small regulatory liquidation fee. So they said over the last few days, Canadian regulators pressured exchanges like Kraken to drop XMR, and they bent the knee. This killed our ability as a Canadian-based company to easily convert XMR back to BTC, CAD, USD, and we still need to cover gift card costs. With centralized exchanges no longer an option, we're forced to use decentralized exchanges and other apps to liquidate XMR. These often come with fees, liquidity costs, and regulatory hurdles/risks. And yeah, so they are going to include a small regulatory liquidation fee, not for profit. It's just pass-through costs. And without it, XMR wouldn't be possible. This isn't about profit again. It's about adapting to a regulatory environment that treats privacy like a crime. We know fees sucks and we don't want to charge them, but yeah, they have to do it for now. Some people suggested that why wouldn't you just switch, your location to some other place in the world. It's not that easy, so it's gonna be interesting to see what they're gonna do. But yeah, that's unfortunate. But still, I mean, Coincards is awesome. So then moving on, a bit of Dero. So 8.3 million crypto he's exposed heist. Evidence suggests Captain executed a sophisticated inflation exploit, creating 2.2 million Dero from nothing, then systematically sold it over 2 years, October 2022, July 2024, while abandoning project entirely. This is the end, and hashtag Dero is dead, said Derolytics. Yeah, we've been talking about Dero on the show for quite a while, but it's crazy. So they said, and you can look more into the research for the full support and evidence, but they said we spent a year de-anonymizing Dero and built the Derolytics Explorer so everyone could see the truth. Our mission was always to help the community by sharing every finding and every pushing for fixes despite being called fudders. And the Dero Foundation provided the cover for Captain instead of helping the project community. Repeatedly lied about communicating with Captain and him working on upgrade, while downplaying the privacy bug and all other issues we exposed. So this is very interesting, and if you want to take a look on the full report, but yeah, it's on just because it's a privacy crypto, and more will come in the future, but just be careful, be careful with these things. Yeah, it's sad, and people lost some money in this thing too. Now, moving on, just a quick Donald J. Trump post. And then Lysander retweeted it and said, "How is this not communism?" So Donald J. Trump said, "It is my great honor to report that the U.S. Of America now fully owns and controls 10% of Intel, a great American company that has even more incredible future," which it's a big amount. I mean, BlackRock, I don't know how much BlackRock and Vanguard own, but that's, it's big. It's a big amount to control. And he negotiated this deal with Lip Bhutan, the highly respected chief executive officer of the company. The US paid nothing for these shares, and the shares are now valued at approximately $11 billion. This is a great deal for America and also a great deal for Intel. Building leading edge semiconductors and chips, which is what Intel does, is fundamental to the future of our nation. Make America great again. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And then people in the comments saying, this is communism, this is not communism. But one point that I will bring up to this, which I think makes more sense to our cause, is that, you got to be careful who, you elect sometimes. And in history all the time, you have a very bad regime, and then here comes the revolutionaries, and then they take over, and you think things will be better, but then historically it doesn't really get better. So the true change, is to, it may sound cheesy maybe, but it's just to change yourself, and revolutionaries come. They say they're going to change the system and what they're going to do, and they get in power, and then they become anti-revolutionary because they want to keep the power now, essentially. But yeah, this whole Trump thing is a whole different topic, but that's what I had to say about this. Then Odysee, this is cool. So Odysee is working on implementing XMR, their orange pilled. So awesome. Let's go on this tweet. So yeah, Odysee posted, YouTube has been deleting content already for years. Their new search makes it impossible to find older videos too. When Odysee is big like YouTube, we may not have everything YouTube has or ever had, but we will over time gain an impressive new library with your help, of course. Then somebody commented, Odysee implement independent peer-to-peer money, Bitcoin Cash, Monero, Nano, Zeno. For fuck's sake. Also remove that shitcoin you wasted your time on implementing. Nobody wants that crap. And that was a bit aggressive, but they did say we are working on it. So I guess that means that they will implement Monero. I guess they're orange build. So Dash replied, hey, let's talk about getting Dash payments. People are excited. I will start using Odysee every day. So yeah, that'll be awesome to see Monero on Odysee. Then we have a little whale over here. He tweeted, I've got to spare 50,000 USDT. What's the best exchange to long XMR? He chose MEXC. Now, cool. Make your purchases if you want on centralized exchanges. Buy it and take it out. Just take it out. And put it somewhere else. Just don't keep it there. Now, this is a tweet from OFRNXMR. With all the hoopla about Cubic and FCMP, let's not forget about our foundation. One of the most consistent contributors to the code base for 8 years now, addressing HackerOne reports, LWS, a lot of networking code, and important reviews. This is VT Nerd. He's been helping Monero for a long time, years and years and years. And it's true, this is nice to step away from all this drama a little bit, from all the Cubic and anti-Semitic stuff that's been happening. That's just crazy. And let's return to the OGs in the space, VT Nerd being one of them. So yeah, if you want to contribute, please do. It's for an amazing cause. And he's awesome. He's been doing this for a long time, like 8 years approximately. And yeah, so this is 3 months full-time software development on Monero components in 2025 quarter 3, and then work primarily on Monero D, Wallet, Monero LWS, and LWSF. Some of the work to be attempted or investigated, and then he wrote some stuff like code reviews of Monero core PRs, Monero D, Monero LWS bug fixes, and HackerOne mitigations as they arrive, find possible memory leaks in week _PTR PR, a lot of stuff, a lot of work that he's doing. And then some of his biggest features in Monero core repo are Dandelion++, adding supercop ASM speedups to wallet code, 0MQ pub support for new blocks and transactions, and SSL support to peer-to-peer. So yeah, this is about 40 hours a week. He details like how much it is per hour, how much USD, and then how much work he's going to put in and all these things. So yeah, if you have some Monero, if you have some money, put it towards a very good cause. And the amazing work of VT Nerd. Now, we're going to discuss a little bit about Fluffy Pony's research lab, and then I'm just going to basically read through it because I assume we're going to talk about it with our guests or in the viewers on stage, or just guest segments. Bawdy's very knowledgeable in this, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. They will, but essentially this is to implement detective mining, pool software change, not protocol change. So this is not a protocol change. There's none of that is required. But he wrote, we should encourage pools to adopt the detective mining strategy from Lee and Kim, which leverages information pools already leak in their job messages to collapse a selfish miner's private lead. Crucially, this is deployable at the pool or Stratum proxy level with no consensus or protocol changes. And basically, because they're going to go more into it, practically if 50% of the Monero hash rate, the largest pools, implement this, then the selfish miners, let's say Cubic, break-even jumps to roughly 42% if tie breaking favors the honest chain, 37% under neutral tie breaking, and 32% if tie breaking favors the attacker. And comparatively, the baseline without detective miners is the classical IL-SAR threshold that can be near 25% when tie breaking favors the attacker, rising toward 1/3 otherwise. If we are between 50% and 100% hash rate adoption across pools, then it wipes out the ability to selfish mine entirely across the tested splits. So yeah, they're going to discuss more, but this is it's very interesting work. And again, no protocol change for this. Now let's see, what do we go into? Let's go into, okay, quickly into this. And oh, it's so just painful to read, but writing code without ill intent is not a crime, says US DOJ official following Tornado Cash verdict. Well, okay. Well, he just got prosecuted. That's cool, but our view is that merely writing code without ill intent is not a crime, obviously. And this is what the Department of Justice's Matthew Galeotti said. And yeah, so writing code is not a crime, obviously, said one of the U.S. Justice Department's top leads in its criminal division, marking a significant departure in how prosecutors plan to view software developers in the digital asset industry. And then, yeah, so Galeotti, he spoke at an event on Thursday hosted by the American Innovation Project. It's a new group created earlier this week. And that's where he said that our view is that merely writing code without ill intent is not a crime. And yeah, it's painful to see his speech coming up after, Roman Storm, was charged guilty of conspiracy to create an unlicensed money transmitting business, which was met with disappointment for many in the industry. And so I don't know, hopefully it will change one day, but yeah, that's what I had to say about this. It's a bit bitter to read. Now, okay, let's get into the 51% attack on Bitcoin. Bawdy gave us a little sensational tweet. Oh my fucking god, Bitcoin just got 51% attack. Devs are in panic. Exchanges are shutting down. It's over. Foundry just bound Bitcoin forever. Okay, now let's go into this post over here. So Jacob King wrote on X, and I'll read most of it. It's very interesting. So two Bitcoin mining pools now control over 51% of the network. Door is wide open for a 51% attack, which could completely destroy Bitcoin. If you look at this Bitcoin mining pool comparison, and it's breaking down pools and how much they control, right? So we see Foundry USA 33% with End Pool at about 18%. So that's getting there to the 51%. Now, for context, the last and only time this has happened was 11 years ago in 2014 with Ghash.io. They had to voluntarily reduce their hash rate to quell centralization concerns, but panic still ensued and Bitcoin tanked over 87%, making it one of the worst bear markets ever. In 2015, Ghash was hit by severe DDoS attacks targeted by MEXCs and eventually forced to cease operations. They try to cover up this event and these centralization issues, but they're back up. Today, it's a major topic, and better yet, OTC data already shows many big whales jumping ship. Even Bitcoin guru Crook Michael Saylor has reversed his promised strategy and created a plan to dump/dilute his holdings and exit the Ponzi quickly. He knows exactly what's coming. I'm going to do more research into this. Into this plan, and then hopefully we can cover it next time. Let's not forget that the entire market is propped up by three things: fraudulent stablecoin injection, and then emotional retail FOMO. There's a lot of FOMO, and narrative illusions pushed by the MEXC cartel. That's nicely put. And then, so yeah, once the reality sets in about how centralized, manipulated, and useless Bitcoin truly is, everything will collapse faster than ever. It's essentially a giant game of musical chairs. Yeah, and that's what I think as well, and probably many of us think as well. Yeah, it just has so many issues, and again, fungibility is a very, very big issue too, besides other things. But yeah. Now, quickly, MEXC. So due to lack of real coins, they're limiting withdrawals to 50 XMR. And then somebody wrote on Reddit, so the old days of Binance are back. Binance had a limit of only 10 XMR for a while, so there's still room for it to drop or close forever. Somebody said in the comments section, that's very good news. Monero is getting more scarce. There will be a time people will visit people with Monero to buy from them in person at desired prices. But yeah, again, but it's nice to have, like we talked in the past, CXs, just because there's a lot of retailers that buy it from there, and then they might even see it just by merely scrolling through the endless meme coins and shit coins, and they might see Monero, and then, oh, what is this thing? Oh, privacy, and then they'll get more into it. So we don't need them, but it's nice for adoption. Okay, let's see. I have 2 videos that I'll play that in the end. So I think let's talk about Unstoppable private wallet. So Monero XMR is now live in Unstoppable. It's the 18th of August. And we talked about how Exodus is going to discontinue Monero. And today is the day. So they are ending support. And so Unstoppable promised they'll ship XMR at the same day. So here it is. Android version is already live on Google Play. It's going to be on iOS. It's going to be on the App Store. F-Droid usually takes 3 days after the GitHub publish, August 17th. We're past that, so it should be on it as well. The first release brings just core functionality, full XMR send and receive support, and the ability to choose your own public node. It's open source, available as SDKs, Swift/Kotlin for mobile devs to build on, and we'll be expanding those libraries over the coming weeks and months. They said that we did rush to hit today's deadline, so a few features are still missing. Sub-addresses, currently only primary address is used. Used addresses, view. List of all addresses you've used. Address, labeling and transaction history. Ability to view /export private /public spend keys plus view key. View only watch wallet. Send to multiple addresses in a single transaction. Optimize background sync. So for now, you can just send and receive XMR and choose exactly which node your wallet will sync. And then they said, privacy first, no compromises, peace. So yeah, this is Unstoppable now. Now is the 24th of August. And then somebody said, hey bro, finally updated it, but don't slick off on those features. In the next 2 weeks, we will be checking up on you. And they wrote, yep, may come even sooner. They're in progress. So it's already the 24th of August, and hopefully we'll see all the other features coming on Unstoppable Wallet as well soon. Then a little bit on their take on Unstoppable Wallet's take on hardware wallets. So they said hardware wallets are overrated. They're specialized device. So specialized devices are safer. That's the sales pitch. So that's what they wrote. Self-custody isn't just, can someone hack my chip? It's, can I survive a real-world attack? Attacks, mobile wallets aren't catching up. They've passed. Here's the reality. Privacy trap. Buying hardware wallets leaks your identity, and you truly have to think about this. So vendors have already exposed customer lists, name, addresses, holdings. Congrats, you're on a phishing or robbery target list, which is something to really consider. And also criminals, they know how they look like now. They know how your Trezor looks like, your ledger.
This is why Cupcake is so great.
Yep. So maybe they don't know how the Passport wallet looks like. Maybe if they dug more into it, that one is a cool wallet. It looks pretty cool. I think they wanted to integrate Monero. I think it's just Bitcoin still on the Passport, but it looks cool. Then there's the travel risk. Hardware wallet screams, I own crypto at airports and borders. Good luck staying discreet. The paper, that'll be crazy. Imagine you go into some country where these things are just banned, and then they find their ledger, and then you just get taken by the police. Then the paper backup paradox. Every hardware wallet needs a paper backup. Lose the paper, lose your funds, and you're still stuck storing the most sensitive data in the most fragile form possible. Mobile wallets can generate encrypted backups, far safer if you know how to handle them properly. and then feature dead zone, limited firmware, no advanced defenses. On the other hand, mobile wallets like Unstoppable leverages OS level capabilities, duress modes, real phishing protection, biometrics. Apple and Google spend billions securing their OS. Hardware wallets do not have such means. And those are good points. If anybody disagrees, that'll be nice to see. So you can jump on viewers on stage, or you can write them on YouTube. I'm also paying attention to the YouTube comments as well. But these are good points. Now let's talk about, let's see. Okay, I just got a few more things, and then we'll play two videos, and that'll be it. So this one will be quick as well. Just are 51% attacks illegal? And this will apply to the US. So 51 attacks are illegal under the CFAA, which is the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which is in the US. In Europe, I haven't seen much of things on cybersecurity measures. The UK has, I think, something more, which is the Computer Misuse Act of 1990. We'll get into that just a little bit. But yeah, so essentially applying traditional legal concepts to blockchain technologies can be tricky business. But essentially, if a bad actor takes down a blockchain network, can any laws hold them accountable? The answer appears to be yes. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act seems to clearly encompass 51% attacks and impose significant penalties on the attacker. So then he goes into 51% attack. I assume all of you know, but in case you're new, then it's essentially when miners gain control of a majority of the whole blockchain's computing power, which is 51%. Then they can do some damage, and it has happened in the past. Like for example, the Verge XVG network was attacked in April 2018, and the attacker absconded with approximately 35 million XVG. As a result, the token lost 15% in 24 hours in one day. Then 2019, you get the Ethereum Classic network attack, and double spent approximately 88,000 ETC. It didn't have a big price effect, but it still caused the token to lose 10% of its value. So if losses from 51% attacks continue to grow, eventually token holders will want payback. Ironically, a hacking statute from 1980 seems to provide a remedy. And yeah, so quickly, CFAA is principally a criminal statute prohibiting fraud and related activity in connection with computers. Under the CFAA, it is a crime to knowingly cause the transmission of a program, information, code, or command, and as a result of such conduct, intentionally cause damage without authorization to a protected computer. A conspiracy to commit or an attempt to commit these acts is similarly a crime. In other words, to violate the CFAA, a 51% attack must involve knowing, 2, transmission of some information or command, that 5, intentionally, 6, causes damage without authorization to a protected computer. Qubit illegal actions. Yeah, essentially. But yeah, so we have this in the US. Now, in Europe, I haven't seen much. I'll do more digging. I've seen just this act in the UK that I have, the Computer Misuse Act of 1990, that may have protection against these things. Essentially, unauthorized access to computer material, kind of same stuff, where you use, computer to attack another one, things of that nature. So, yeah, I'll do more digging to see if I haven't seen much on the European side, just mostly just cyber criminal stuff. I don't know. But now let's play. I got 2 more videos, and that's it. So let's play. I got a Monero rock song, which is cool. And then I have Tox's video. So let's play Tox's video of Maybe You Need a Monero. And he went hard with the edit. So go and give him a like. Actually, I didn't give him a like.
Do you think the federal...
So there we go. I give him a like right now. Wow, he's getting quite a bit of likes. That's cool. And a lot of saves. That's awesome. Yes. Let's watch this.
Do you think the federal government cannot see every transaction that you're doing? Unless you're using Monero.
As Bitcoin becomes more mainstream, criminals are finding other currencies of choice. Monero is a cryptocurrency designed to avoid tracking.
There's a few of them that it's a lot harder to, like Monero.
Like if you want privacy, use Monero.
I am embarrassed to promote Bitcoin to people today. I'd be proud to promote something like a Monero.
Monero is a good cryptocurrency because it has more privacy protection than Bitcoin.
You know, I mean, there's certain things I'm a massive fan of, you know, like Monero.
No, Monero is the only goddamn currency that's used. Nobody uses Bitcoin.
To me, Monero is the litmus test, the sort of intelligence in Bitcoin.
Somebody wants privacy and they really feel strongly about it. Maybe you need a Monero.
Tuxedo Productions. This is cool. It gave me goosebumps. It's a really good video.
Yeah, it was well made. It was well made.
Wow. Yeah,
bravo to Tux.
It's just nice to be part of this community. It's such a nice community. And guys, if buy some stickers also, like buy some XMR stickers and you know, stick them on polls and stuff like that. I have to buy some more. I used to stick whenever I would travel and stuff. But yeah, they're not that expensive, so buy them, stick them, you know, spread the word. And yeah, welcome to the rebellion. We have a lot of work to do. Yeah, this is
I
epic.
just purchased some more stickers when I was in Portugal, when I made my Monero to Euros trade. I also bought some Monero stickers. Yeah, highly recommend. You can go on XMR Bazaar. There's a good vendor on there, I believe, selling them. You get some cheap Monero stickers. What'd you say?
Oh, did you buy them in person in Portugal?
In person, yeah. The guy that I did a Monero to Euros trade with also was selling stickers. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
There we go. I think it's, yeah, let's go on this one. Okay, so go on XMR Bazaar. 110 plus Monero stickers. Material received. Okay. Yeah. No tracking, no KYC, no nonsense, just Monero anonymous money.
They have an effect. I mean, you start to see them around, you know, it works. I remember seeing a lot of Ethereum in Manhattan a couple of years ago. People like spray painting it on sidewalks and stuff. Obviously, I've seen quite a few Monero stickers in parts of Brooklyn, Queens. But yeah, it helps, especially if you're in like a densely populated area. If you're in a major city, get the stickers out there. Why not?
It would be sick if somebody in Antarctica put it on some pole there. Just make it into some crazy, I don't know. But it's cheap. You get 110 plus stickers for $12. Oof. I mean,
for what currency?
Yeah. So 0.04 XMR for 110 plus Monero stickers. I think that's a really good price. It's a really, really good price. Okay, so now let's watch the last thing. I'm gonna play like 1-2 minutes of this industrial rock anthem of XMR. It's super cool, and then we'll be done with the new section. User 58 said, "I need those stickers." Yeah, I need them too. Yeah, so go to XMR Bazaar and find it and buy it. It's really cheap for 0.04 XMR. That's a lot. 110. Like you can fill most of your polls in your town. You know, maybe spread them. You know, don't do every single one. You know, skip a couple and then put another one. But yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. All right, let's go to. Oh, where is it? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, so let's play this video.
Every transaction, a line in the sand, a permanent record across the whole land. They're watching your wallet, They're tracking your spend. A story they're writing that you'll never amend. They build up a profile. They know what you bought. Your patterns, your habits, a fish to be caught in a dragnet of data, a transparent cage, another performer on history's stage. But there's a whisper, a flicker of code, a different solution, a new way to load, a digital ghost in the heart of the machine to make all your history completely insane. We move in the shadows, a ghost in the wire, burning the ledgers with digital fire, with the ring signatures masking the trail that we blaze, lost in Monero's untraceable haze. This ain't for the cloud, this is for liberty, true fungibility, for you and for me.
Oof. Again, this is
That song
goosebumps.
is epic.
Oh,
It's
make
hard,
this the
it's
opening
hard.
of Monerotopia.
It's called In the if you want to look it up, it's on YouTube. It's called In the Shadows, and it's by a channel called Crypto Song. And when I first
Okay.
heard it, I was like, "Oh my god!" I sat there and listened to it over and over on repeat again, like over and over on repeat for like an hour and 20 minutes, and didn't realize that I had been listening to it that long. It's epic.
Oh, it makes you want to get a Molotov and just go to your local government and just throw them in the windows.
It really does, though. I was like, "Oh my god, this is epic."
Oh, make this the opening or the closing of Monerotopia.
Yeah, maybe we can reach out to them. I guess
But
was it
it's
like
AI.
AI generated? You think? Yeah.
Yes, that's yeah.
I don't know. See, the thing is I thought it might be, and then I thought it wasn't, and then I think it could be. So I'm not totally sure.
It's not very good, but I just wish that somebody can actually sing it for us, like, if we invite them.
Yeah.
Instead of, because that'll be sick.
Performer. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well,
Don't throw any Molotov cocktails, though, Tony. Definitely don't be doing that.
Okay, I'm not. Okay, that's not. I'm not encouraging violence.
But it definitely
We
makes you
use
want
virtual.
Virtual Molotovs.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right, Tony, that was fantastic, man. Great job. Do we have any other super chats? Oh wait, we have MC tipped 10 cents. You guys need the XMR chat link in the video description. Good call. Want to ask Bawdy if he could start his own podcast where we can listen to and learn about topics re Monero, views on BTC, etc. Different than Monerotopia or Anti-Moon Boy would be great. Yeah. Sure, Bawdy had the time. I don't know if that's something you'd ever want to do, but yeah, I think it'd be quite popular.
Yeah, I appreciate the shout out. Probably not going to do a podcast. There's only so many hours in a day, and honestly, to work on the Monero stuff, I had to put a couple other big projects I have on hold to do it. So it's just not enough hours in a day to do it.
Well, we greatly appreciate that Bawdy participates here every weekend. Definitely a big part of the show. So you could come get your Bawdy time here as long as Bawdy is willing to continue to participate. He's always welcome. And should say, Bawdy does this out of, he volunteers to do this. He's not getting paid. Once again, he just loves doing it. So I greatly appreciate that, man. All right, I think we let's move on to special guest. Let's go ahead and do that. Is our special guest still there? Yeah, I see Mr. Wonderland. Up. let me go ahead and play the guest segment.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right, we are working on updating that video with the new Cake logo, but it's kind of vintage. It's cool. We will be updating it. Mr. Wonderland, how's it going, man?
Hello, hello.
What's going on? I saw you chiming in the chat. I thought it'd be cool to get you up here. We didn't have a special guest lined up for this week, so you always have a good perspective on things. I know you keep a close eye on everything. So yeah, we'd love to get your take on what we've seen with Cubic and what some of the proposals are that are being thrown around, and what your thoughts are on all this.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words. I mean, I try to stay up to date with all the XMR or Monero stuff. I mean, since I'm part of the German Monero podcast now, I have.
Oh yeah, you're running a
reason to stay
podcast
in touch.
now. Okay.
Yeah, I revived the podcast with Alex Anarcho. Like he did it for like a few years, then he kind of like didn't do a lot of episodes for a while, and then I brought him back basically, and now we are doing regularly episodes. So yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, but
so what do you think of all this Cubic stuff, man? I mean, you think is it rest in peace for RandomX? Are you giving up on RandomX as some people are? Are you open to hybrid proof of stake? Do you think no, actually everything's working as intended? This is just a stress test.
Yeah.
What's your overall take?
It's an interesting time to be alive and being somewhat active in the Monero community. I'm not so sure really. Like the whole Cubic thing kind of like brought up my internal discussion about like proof of work versus proof of stake, etc. But it also solidified some points about Monero or Monero's design. Like for example, like I still think like the dynamic blocks with the tail emission is like has to be shown that it's somewhat of the better design than having like the 21 million hard cap that Bitcoin has. But like the whole discussion about like ASICs and ASIC resistance, I'm still like favoring the proof of work design in itself, and also I think the ASIC resistance is the better choice, but it's like I'm like struggling to really like find good arguments for it, or like I'm not so like 100% set on this. But that's where like Bawdy's like take resonated very well with me, because I think or what even Arctic said, I think in the last Monerotopia or Monero Talk show, that he thinks that a lot of like little improvements to proof of work will make it much better in the end, or like much more resilient, and not like there's like one big improvement we can do to like make it stronger, but it's more like those little things, like Bawdy's idea, for example, I think. Because like maybe to bring up my my little calculation again, what I mentioned earlier, like when you look like oftentimes in discussions with Bitcoiners, I get this like argument, oh, look at the hash rate, like Bitcoin has like such a huge hash rate. And I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's true. I mean, Bitcoin is nearing 1 zeta hash per second, I think. And like just for perspective or comparison to Monero, that's about 180 billion times larger than Monero's hash rate. Like
that's crazy.
But then like a person with a bit of technical knowledge, you look at the different like hashing algorithms and you realize, okay, you can't really like compare these one-to-one, because like a SHA-256 hash from Bitcoin is like worthless in the Monero space, and okay, you could hash or like produce hashes with like CPUs for Bitcoin, but that's also useless because ASICs are so much more efficient in that space. So I like tried to like find a angle of comparison between these two that is better than that. And if you look at the like different CPUs or like the ASICs and how much hashes they produce, like I think Bitmain produced one quote unquote ASIC for Monero that was just a bunch of RISC-V CPUs in a bundle together. And it's what from the efficiency, like hashes per watt produced was roughly equal to like modern Ryzen CPUs from AMD. So it was just like another package basically. But if you like take this ASIC for Monero and compare it to like the ASICs for Bitcoin, you see that the typical ASIC for Bitcoin produces 1 billion times as much hashes. So they're like the 180 billion times larger hash rate for Bitcoin isn't as much bigger as you would think it is. Like if you break it down to the like how much ASICs do you need to achieve the Bitcoin hash rate, or how much ASICs quote unquote do you need to achieve the Monero network hash rate, is only like you only need like 200 times the amount of miners to get to the Bitcoin hash rate compared to the Monero hash rate. I don't know if that makes
in terms of units that are mining is what you're saying.
Exactly. If you like took only like those ASICs from Bitmain and tried to achieve like the Bitcoin network hash rate or the Monero network hash rate, because you can't really know like what ASICs are the Bitcoin miners really using, or what kind of CPUs are the Monero miners using. You can't really know this stuff. It's like, so it's just like if you take equal like hardware from a vendor and try to like build this networks with this hardware from this vendor, so you can like kind of like compare this to a certain degree. And then you see like the amount of watts you need to produce the amount of hash rate in Bitcoin is about 500 times larger than the amount of wattage you need, or the amount of electricity you need for the Monero network. But that basically scales with the ratio between the market caps. I mean, Bitcoin is speaking right now about 440 times as large as Monero, and you need 500 times as much wattage. So it's very comparable. And to buy like enough ASICs to produce the Bitcoin hash rate, you would need like 320 times more dollars compared to getting to the Monero hash rate. So it's also like roughly in the ballpark of the ratio between the two market caps. So I personally would say we can see that the like both proof of work systems work very equally, because the amount of yearly inflation for the networks is somewhat comparable. I mean, I think Bitcoin is about 8.3 and Monero is at 0.84% per year, and Bitcoin is at 0.83% per year, I think. So they are very, very close in like yearly inflation rate. And funnily enough, their networks also is like somewhat equally secured by miners compared to like their market cap. So if we
do you think Bitcoin is effectively as susceptible to this cubic attack we've seen as Monero is, given it was just an attack on pool mining, not right? They could pull in ASIC miners just as arguably just as easy as they could pull in CPU miners, or is there a difference there because these are pieces of hardware that people invested in solely for the purpose of mining Bitcoin? Do they then have less of an incentive to just follow the money because they're also invested in the network itself? That's kind of the argument that's being made, right? That's pro ASIC.
Yeah, I don't really see that, to be honest. I mean, it's gonna be interesting because the Cubic community voted for Dogecoin, I think, as the next target.
Yes.
And
I saw they were mentioning Zcash too. I think it actually hurt the price a little bit at one point this week. And then it's
really? Yeah.
bounced back up.
But
go ahead.
And I think like Dogecoin is also mined by ASICs, like Bitcoin, but other ASICs, I think. So it's going to be interesting if they can
it's script mining, right?
Yep, Dogecoin is mined
like
by Script,
Litecoin,
which is a different type of ASIC.
Okay. So it's going to be interesting because I don't think the same attack can be done with like Bitcoin or Doge or Litecoin that happened to Monero, because like the compute power in the Cubic network is, I think, like mostly CPUs and or maybe also GPUs for like the whole AI stuff. And you can only like leverage the CPU part against Monero.
Okay. Well, okay, so maybe that's why I think then they followed up with it's going to take us some months to like. So I think they're going to have to like tweak, I guess, their algorithm, or I don't know. Yeah, they're going to have to make it so their AI can be.
I don't think that works on a technical level.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, the whole point of an ASIC is like to have a hardware that is specifically like optimized to do a certain like function.
Right.
And
right.
A general CPU like can also do these hashes, but it's like way slower at doing, or like much more inefficient to do in doing this task. So I mean, they can mine Bitcoin also, or Dogecoin for that matter, but it's like much less efficient than just using the ASICs. So like this part doesn't work, but the economical path to like merge mine with Dogecoin and get the Dogecoin miners to join the Cubic pool, that then again works. But they can't like add their So it's gonna be interesting if it really works. I mean, I'd say okay, Bitcoin for that matter. I mean, I haven't made the comparison with Dogecoin, but Bitcoin is like more secure in like the technical way of like having a higher market cap, and so the security budget is much bigger than Monero's. So that makes it harder to attack. But Bitcoin opens or has like different avenues of attacking Bitcoin, and that's why I'm like against ASICs, because that leads to a more centralized miner, whatever, or like more centralized mining. And yeah, I don't know, it's gonna be interesting, but
we got a tip from Wanderer tipped 5 cents. Missed the show beginning, but do you guys have any TDLR update on any research lab updates incoming from Monero? Still in discussion or anything agreed on? What about Fluffy Pony's proposal? We did talk about that at some point, but we could get Mr. Wonderland's take on things. So yeah, once again, like overall, based on all the proposals you're seeing, short term, long term, what actions at this point do you think Monero should take, given the proposals that have put forth so far? If anything, maybe you think nothing, just continue full speed ahead.
To be honest, I'm like at the point where I'm like, I have like a somewhat good technical understanding of the whole stuff, but I am not as far down as I would like, and so I'm not really like sure what the perfect answer, or if there, or what the maybe best answer would be, because perfect answer probably isn't there or doesn't exist, like Arctic Mind said. So I'm like favoring like smaller improvements that don't really change the proof of work design of Monero in itself, because it kind of works as intended, but we can probably like optimize in that front a little bit, like with Bawdy's proposal. And I think there are like a few others, like Tavadoros, for example, like to just make it even harder for like big mining pools to, or like more like an incentivized design so that you get more people on P2 pool and smaller pools. So like I'm thinking in this direction, but keep the proof of work nature, because the, I don't know, like the 10 block log, for example, I'm not really like feeling this like downside, to be honest. Like, yes, it's nice if we could have like a instant finality and so on, but there are also like downsides to this design, as Bawdy pointed out earlier, with the, if you have like a strict, I don't know, like after 10 blocks you lock the chain, then if you have like a big internet outage or something, or other vectors of attacks where you can like separate the network forever and it can't really like heal, or like the nodes can't really heal themselves. And that's what I like about his proposal, because it makes it like harder for selfish mining, and but also like keeping the system flexible, so in case of a bigger like internet outage or something, or network, what was it called, like a big network split could like automatically heal itself. So yeah, I'm not a big fan.
What do you think
like,
of Fluffy Pony's proposal, the detective mining pools?
It sounds interesting. I'm somewhat neutral, more like in the positive direction for this proposal. Is interesting. I need to think about this a little bit more, and like need to see some data about this, and some, because like Kayaba or like Luke Parker like also said, even is or asked if there isn't avenue for another attack, like to divert certain hash rate from honest miners to the like selfish miner this way. So yeah, I mean, there's like some stuff to figure out with this design, but I would count Fluffy Pony's proposal also to the like in the bag of little improvements to proof of work in general, to just harden or make proof of work more resistant. And but there's like another way of how we could improve the whole like situation, because like we can't really influence the price in itself. I mean, if the price of Monero did like a 10x in, I don't know, like the next year.
Yeah, there's people out there like, see, we should have been pro number go up. I mean, like everybody I do agree. There was like, there was a meme out there, right? Like that we shouldn't care about price, and I'm glad that maybe this pushes that away, like pushes that under the carpet a little bit more, and people don't run with that one as much, because I do think the higher Monero's price, the more utility it has, the more security it has. Sure, we shouldn't be running around just like pumping the trying to pump the price, but we should all be excited about a growth in Monero's price.
And as I pointed out, the price is going up on average over the long term. The price is headed upwards.
Yeah, and I also think we really don't like only having like a huge like spike in price or something, like huge volatility is a negative in itself again, because you can also like attack the network through like bad PR and FUD, like fear, uncertainty, and doubt, just like to push the price down, get some miners to exit, and then you have like another way, or like have it easier to attack the network again. So you want a like a steady like bottom up like price increase. And like, for example, what I noticed with like Havino or like Rito swap, if you try to like purchase Monero in the like during the hard dip down, you couldn't really like get Monero or like that huge amount of Monero, to be honest, because
nobody wanted to sell it.
Exactly. Like, you couldn't like really like buy the dip on Havino, and that's like kind of like the point, because I'm like, or why I like that we delist all the exchanges basically, and only are available on like, I don't know, Serai at some point, and then like Havino or RetoSwap. So we get like a much more steady and less attackable price, because like at the point where like Serai exists and Havino and Serai both rely like on the price of Monero on their own data, and not so much on the centralized exchanges, they can't really like fuck with the Monero price that way anymore. And
I mean, my only thought there is too, you know, obviously it just cuts noobs off from Monero though, right? Like new people coming in. That's the only downside I see with that. Obviously, ideally, everybody's obtaining it through, you know, these new decentralized exchanges, and we make them pretty slick and kind of build them into wallets like Cake. But we're not. We're some time away from that.
Yeah, but I mean, with like Serai and an integration of Serai maybe into Cake Wallet, that would enable even noobs to get to Monero.
I agree with that.
I mean, if noobs just buy the like KYC crypto, I don't know, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, whatever you like, or Bitcoin, on the exchange, and then just swap it to Monero, then we're like fine as well. And I'm like seeing in my personal life and so on, more and more people like trying to get into Monero, and I help them, like show them the way how they get the Monero, or I like buy it for them. And I think this is like the way, like more and more people slowly get interested in this. And if all the like more technical people, the Monero people, help like their friends and I don't know, people all around them with this kind of stuff, I think we can also like onboard a lot of people. But we don't really like want the, I don't know, Bitcoin ETF guys or something. It's totally like worthless for the price. I mean, yes, the price pumps up, but I don't know if like we get a major or like a somewhat bigger crash or like economy collapse, I think these are the first people to sell their Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, because they are not invested in the tech, or they don't understand the tech and don't want the tech. They just want the number to go up, and we don't want these people because they're gonna
they're not diamond hands. They're not diamond hands.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, I mean, the usability of Monero needs to improve in all the systems. For example, Havino with a mobile version would be great to have, and I think it's not too far off. So
I'm seeing XMR Bazaar being used more for, you know, Monero to cash and vice versa.
True.
People are starting to use it. I personally used it in Europe, in Portugal. It worked out nicely for myself. So yeah, there's ways, guys. The bridges exist. We just need to continue to improve them and get more people using them. But yeah, I am of the other side too, thinking like, you know, would be nice to be able to tell people that I meet all the time. They're like, hey, Doug, so this Monero thing, you know, how do I get some of it? If you're just like, you know, like Coinbase account that you have, just go on there and grab some Monero. But I can't. I have to tell them the other way, and with that, the entire story as to why it's that way, which is nice because you're really truly onboarding a new Monero person, but it's a much harder sell. People are busy. People aren't as passionate about this stuff as we are. They're not as sensitive to it. They don't see a story about bank accounts wanting to ask more for KYC, and they don't freak out like we do. Like, they just see the world differently, unfortunately, which is a big problem. And we got to continue to educate them on it. But it's also nice and easy to if you could just be like, just go on Coinbase and grab some, and baby steps, right? And then you bring them down the rabbit hole that way. Now they have some. Now they're learning about it. Now they're realizing, wait a minute, when I use this one, nobody can see what I can do. Although when I use this one, they can't, you know? So I think there is value in noobs being able to have very easy access to grabbing some Monero, even if it's not, you know, without KYC using cash.
Yeah. I mean, I see the argument, but I'm also like concerned about like the noobs like getting easily into Monero. They can also easily get out of Monero. And if I can choose, I personally only like I would prefer people getting harder into Monero, but also harder out of Monero. So it like keeps the system like somewhat more stable.
Quantity versus quality, easy in, easy out. But if it's hard to get in, then they're getting in for a reason. They're getting in because they actually need it. And so they're less likely to leave. Or if they do leave, they're going to leave less than what they got in. So they bought 1 Monero and they might sell 0.1 or something like that. Because they understand now the reason for its existence and why it was so hard to get it.
Yeah, you're getting higher quality users straight up. People that are in it for the right reasons, that want to use it, that want to go on XMR Bazaar, that want to use Havino. They understand it, and they went out of their way to obtain it. Definitely agree with all those points.
Because otherwise you get James Wynn on frickin' whatever that thing is, 100x longing and getting liquidated and all that crap.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the problem is, you know, part of the way this stuff works is you need to grow beyond a certain, you know, you need that network effect. The power of this from you know, cryptocurrency comes from a strong user base and adoption, right? So there's that aspect of it too that you can't forget. It's like yes, we're trying to build adoption in our own little way secretly behind the scenes, but we're also up against the clock, and we need to like reach a certain size by a certain point in time so that it won't be easy for any government to shut us down. So in that respect, I'm of the opinion that we got to do, you know, bring in as many people as we can as soon as we can. It's also a way I look at it. So
yeah,
like the more people that use Monero, truly more powerful it becomes. It becomes harder to turn off, becomes harder to shut down. If you have every average Joe is like, well, I bought some on Coinbase, da, da, da. Like even politically, it becomes difficult to then turn against this thing. So, you know, I don't like to see the Monero community become like insular about it and be like, oh, we don't need, fuck everybody else. We don't need them. We don't need the noobs. We don't need the people that like, we do need them. Because the only way a project like this can succeed against those that we're trying to essentially topple is you need the power of the masses of the people using your technology.
But is it really like the mass? I mean, we need a certain amount of people, yes. I mean, for example, if I look at COVID, it was in the end, it was like, I don't know, like 10, 15, maybe 30% of people that went against the mainstream narrative. And I think those people are what we need to like get into Monero, basically. But the other like 70% or more, we really don't want them because they don't understand. They will comply with the state. Even if they like bought some Monero and the state says, no, Monero is bad, then they will sell it. Like, I don't know. I don't see these people as very helpful or even beneficial to our cause.
Yeah, no, I would disagree with you there for all the reasons I was saying, but I hear you. I hear that point. But overall, I think Monero benefits more the more users we get into it, even if it's not the highest quality user. I think that just greatly strengthens the network. I think that's where Bitcoin has really excelled. I mean, look how embedded Bitcoin has become into the system. Now you could say, okay, well, that's a bad thing because by way of doing that, Bitcoin is no longer what it was meant to be. And I agree. But maybe this is what Bitcoin is providing, right? That's really what differentiates it from any other crypto, is that it's got its fangs into the system It's been co-opted in a way, but now it's not going anywhere. It's completely embedded in the system, right? Those that were threatened by it, it could, aren't really that threatened by it anymore. And so if that's what's going to keep it alive, Monero is a little trickier because it really stands to disrupt the system. But if it can get its claws in deep enough, then that too will not ever go away. And so the only way it gets its claws in deep enough is if enough people are using it. We need billionaires using it. We need politicians using it. We need everybody feeling like, out of greed, obtaining the benefits out of what Monero, supplies, the utility that supplies, out of their own individual greed, out of the need for something that can do this. And then collectively, it becomes unstoppable when enough percentage of society is using it, because it's just purely embedded.
Are you sure we haven't already hit that point? And the reason I ask is because the code's on Tor, the code's on different repositories, so you can always download the code. You can always run it. Unstoppable swaps between Bitcoin and Monero exist. I think between Ethereum and Monero exist. I think they're working on Bitcoin Cash to Monero. And there's decentralized exchanges such as Re2Swap. You've got marketplaces such as yours with XMR Bazaar. So you've got a core group of users who absolutely are not going to give up on Monero no matter what the state says. And the only way to stop Monero, it would seem to me, would be to shut down the internet.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if we're there yet, but I don't think we should sit on our laurels, right? Like, yes, we're pretty strong, but we got to be rowing strong more than ever right now. Like, we're trying to get out past the waves, right? Once we get out past the breakers, we could paddle on in safety. I still think there's a couple of more big waves we gotta paddle through. Now is not the time to assume like, I feel like now more than ever, we need to be doubling down on all our efforts. Obviously, everybody mine, but everybody grow adoption. Everybody use it, keep spreading it. I like what people are doing on X, trying to onboard new people in different communities, different groups, different political persuasions. I think we need to be full speed on that. Obviously, we should have always been, but now it's like we got to turn it up now, because I feel like they are turning up the heat against us. So, keep it all
from the comments, the Anon one, that is kind of like a straw man you're putting out there, because we are not Shortwave and me aren't against mass adoption, but it's it's always a trade-off. And I would argue Monero learned from the Bitcoin mistakes and did the whole design things much more clever, or in a more optimized way. Bitcoin is always the small blocks and stuff. This is the optimum, and it isn't. And Monero has the better design to get the higher optimum between using more hardware, but also being able to scale further. And I think we want to reach the same sweet spot with adoption. Don't be the absolute niche project that no one uses, but be big enough that you're so ingrained in certain processes, like the darknet market, for example. If what Zeno said with his darknet market maximalism, the average Joe just wants to buy some, I don't know, weed or something in the darknet market, and he uses Monero for that. So we want those users, but we don't want the, I don't know, number go up, I'm buying the Monero ETF, guys. That's but I'm beating a dead horse here. So
we have a tip from XMR, tipped 5 cents. What is your quick 60-second elevator pitch to a business as to why they should accept Monero and why they should care? That's a really good question, right? Because the initial use cases isn't your small business, your donut shop or something necessarily, right? It's people that need to use digital cash because they really have a need to essentially transact without surveillance, right? Maybe it's like they want to buy something controversial. Maybe it's they want to donate to a political campaign and not be identified. Like, these are the things where people really need to go out of their way for it. But then the next layer is people that see the utility in transacting with traditional cash. So my pitch to any business like this would be, would you like it if all your customers paid you in cash? And most businesses, I think, would be like, yeah, that'd be great, but you know what? Nobody does that anymore. Everybody wants to use credit cards. And that's when you start to explain, yeah, they're trying to get rid of cash, but there's this new thing that replaces cash. It acts just like cash. It's not like a credit card. There's no transaction fees taken. There's no Visa company involved. There's no banks involved. People can come into this store and they could buy whatever it is you're selling with untraceable digital cash. And here's how they do it. It's called Monero. I'll send you some. I mean, I think people would understand and see the value in a replacement for cash, and do realize that cash is being eliminated, and would like to have cash in theory. They just think that it's been essentially has been eliminated and there's no coming back. They don't realize that you can use something. It's just as easy to use as credit card, just as easy to use as PayPal, as Venmo, but it's actually like cash. And nobody can see, when your customers are sending you money, how much they're sending. Yes, obviously you got to go pay your taxes, but it's just like if you were receiving cash in your business. And I think a lot of businesses see value in that.
Oh, sorry. I think one of the big arguments for Monero, or for crypto in general, for businesses, is to just basically double their profit margin in not having the credit card fees.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's not even just credit card fees, right? There's value in cash itself, right? It goes beyond, deeper than the fees saved.
I think the thing is the unconfiscatability. So, the settlement time. With Monero, it's fully settled in 20 minutes. Guaranteed, it cannot be pulled away from you. Unlike a credit card or unlike whatever. The only other thing that does that is cash. And cash is going away.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. The instant settlement, the non-reversibility of the transactions, and the basically non-existent fees are, I think, like
and not having your other means being directly connected to the IRS, where it's auto-reported how much money a business is making when they're, if they're using whatever it is, PayPal, Venmo. I mean, all these things basically if they don't already have to, will be having to report. Right. And so I'm not saying don't pay your taxes, but I think there's a lot of small businesses that remember the time when you used to be able to just run a business with cash and then you pay your taxes. Right. And I think a lot of people appreciate that and understand that gives them independence. And so, there's value there too. However you want to explain it or phrase it, but there's certainly value there too. And there's really nothing that can do that right now, other than cryptocurrency, Monero, right? And of the cryptocurrencies, only Monero. So I think that's how you sell people on that. And it's super cheap to send, super cheap to receive. And it's more secure. It's more secure than traditional cash. You don't have to worry about storing your cash somewhere. You get into explaining how this thing can function with view keys and whatnot. So the people, working in the business will never have access to the funds. It's like, but you're receiving cash digitally and it's going into a piggy bank. Nobody can touch. They can't come in here and tell you to open up the cash register and take all your cash. There's a lot of advantages. I mean, it really does make sense from a usability standpoint for businesses to start using Monero. It's just going to take time for people to realize it.
By the way, is Bawdy here? Because I would have loved his perspective, because he said earlier that he really looked into the into more proposals like his, and I really like the list Luke Parker gave on GitHub, like the big with the finality layer and so on, were interesting. But if there are lots of smaller drag proposals, that would be also be interesting to hear about. But if he's not here, then never mind.
No, I'm here. Yeah, there's actually hell, maybe it'd even be worthwhile just to post on Twitter. Rucknium posted like 10 different articles of like, hey, here's my reading list, and there's a lot. So Ethereum, when they were proof of work, invented this idea called uncle blocks. So, man, you know what? Let me take a step back from there. There's so much stuff, right? Like I was saying earlier, there's so many different proposals that could be done. A lot of them are sort of just slightly different variations on each other, and it's hard, like from a pure like statistical modeling, mathematical standpoint, it gets a little bit difficult to say which one is necessarily better, which one is worse, especially since we have to start thinking about how these proposals could affect network healing, right? So if your node, like if there's a network split, for example, because of a global internet outage in Bitcoin, the moment that you reconnect, you just say, hey, who's got the heavier chain? Okay, and you immediately, there's an immediate heal time there. Whereas if we were to do something like a rolling lock, then there is, you know, beyond a certain level, there is zero heal time. And then for like kind of the proposal that I made with trying to weight blocks differently, you have some non-zero heal time when the network reconnects. So like all these different like second order effects have to be considered. And there's like right now, like there's kind of this big divergence of thinking like, okay, we have all these proposals, all these things on the table we could do. Let's start trying to, you know, chip away at this big block. Let's everyone start reading these papers. Everyone start, you know, trying to see what's on the table. So that list that's on GitHub that's been floating around that Luke Parker made, that's like that's not even the, you know, that's just like a part of the things that are being considered. And I think I had a couple breakthroughs recently in my own thinking, ways to frame the problem that will help us to organize our thinking on how to approach which solution is going to ultimately be our best option. And the first one, I'll just give it to you in the order that it came. The first one is that time is an independent variable and an externally verifiable unit that you can include informationally into making decisions. And a lot of these proposals effectively are just some version of time, right? Helping us to figure out how do we order the transactions, how do we order the blocks? Which chain do we consider more important, right? So when I talked about time weighting the blocks, you know, so then the question comes up, well, you know, having a Byzantine fault tolerant view of time is very difficult. So what other kinds of time can we use? There's a time version that's called monotonic, and it just means that you only go forward. You're just counting the seconds from like the moment that an event happened. Like it doesn't matter if you're UTC synchronized or in network time protocol, NTP, probably some of you all know what NTP is. It doesn't matter if you're necessarily perfectly synchronized with everyone else, so long as you're counting the seconds accurately since you observed an event. So there's kind of that's on the table. And another like really breakthrough thing, and I'm not totally confident on it, but I think that proof of stake, a lot has been made of the stake. Like, oh, everyone's staking now, and the game theory and the economic incentives. And, you know, right now, I'm not sure that we should be trying to design the thing on the basis of economic incentives. Our biggest attack vector is the irrational actor, the one that doesn't care about the economics, that is willing to attack the chain and throw millions of dollars if they need to attack it. So I think that's what we have to design to. So, but when it comes to proof of stake, I think it's actually the case that because proof of stake directly integrates the independent time variable into how they make decisions, that provides the informational, from an information theory standpoint, that gives them the informational resolution that they need to have much greater tolerance in some ways to these kinds of reorgs that we see. And a lot of people make it a big deal about the stake, and they're like, well, the staking and the mechanisms and the slashing and the counter incentives and all this other stuff. But honestly, I think that proof of stake is largely just time with extra steps. And so this, and then yesterday, I actually, is it a breakthrough? I don't know. But in my own thinking, I feel like there's something here. And I actually spent the entire day trying to investigate this. We have an information theory problem. And potentially, an entropy problem as well. Like you can model this as information entropy potentially. And so what we might be able to do is, if we can model the chain and model the different propositions as entropy problems and or information theory problems, we might be able to gain better resolution on when a proposition is sort of necessary complexity that integrates information that's available that we're not currently using. For example, orphan blocks is a piece of information that we don't integrate into decision making, and maybe there's something there for us to be able to use that. So the term, when we talked about uncle blocks, so instead of being orphans, you adopt them into the chain, and then you weight the chain. You give uncles weighting into the chain, and you'll hear from the maximalists, the Bitcoin maximalists. They'll be like, well, the blockchain trilemma, and there's only trade-offs, and you can't do any better than Nakamoto consensus, pure Nakamoto consensus, and that's, I think, false. Yes. And it's an information theory problem. But if we can define it as an information theory problem and validate that, that's a really good tool set for us to start chopping branches that are like sort of overly complex gymnastics that really are just doing something much more simple. And then sort of like maybe focus in on the places that might give us more bang for our buck, or that are solidly within the information theory spectrum, things that we should be able to figure out how to leverage. Does that mean we can like totally fix the problem? Probably not, but I think there's a lot to be gained there. But as you can tell, like that's pretty deep, right? Like that goes really deep, and very little, as far as I can tell, there's not a whole lot of like theoretical academic work that merges information theory and entropy considerations into blockchains. So there's probably something there. I'm still like at the very early conceptual stages of thinking about that, and it's definitely not my specialty. Like I don't have a master's or a PhD in mathematics or information theory, so it's like I've got a learning curve there to overcome.
Yeah,
more bang for our Pico.
Hopefully
very well,
guys. Let me jump in here and let's run the viewers on stage segment. See if there's anybody that wants to get up, and we could just continue on, the topic at hand here. So we go ahead and do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah. By the way,
the Monerotopia viewers on stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to xmr.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
What were you saying, Mr. Wonderland?
If you thought a little bit more about that, or maybe want to discuss this in more length, or because sometimes it helps to go through these thoughts, and I think we have some overlap there. Basically, if you want to come and talk with me and Alex, or Alex and me, about this in a maybe podcast episode, because we also did an English episode with Zeno one time. So, and I think there's I would love to go into detail on some of these thoughts and things you go through there, because I'm thinking about those things as well.
Right on. Yeah, I'd definitely be down to come on and chit chat. What's your background?
I'm in the IT department. I'm more that's a hobby, and I don't know. I have some fable for mathematics as well, but I'm not working in this direction in any way. It's more like
how do I find the English episodes? Because I know you did one with Zenu, and I have not seen it yet, and I want to. But I remember seeing one episode of you guys that sounded interesting, and I actually paid to help unlock it, and then realized it was a German, and then I couldn't understand it.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think we have if you go to just alexanarco.live/podcast, and if you just scroll through all the episodes, you find the Zeno episode. But I think we also have an RSS feed for English episodes only.
Okay, I'll take a look then.
Yeah, but maybe that's a thing Alex still wanted to design. I know we spoke about that, having an English and German only RSS feed for the episodes. But
I don't know if it's possible, but what would be cool is to use AI to translate people's voices So you can so like we could listen to the German, and all the German episodes in English and in your native, kind of like your timbre of your voice.
We
we
thought about that, but it's not it's a non-trivial task. But down the line we definitely want to do that, but there are some other things, and as you said earlier, I think the day hasn't enough like hours to do everything, and
yeah, exactly. It's every step is hard fought. It feels like like every little insight, every little gain. Like I literally spent like 8 or 9 hours yesterday just trying to understand entropy better, trying to understand information theory better. How do you model what a unit of information is in the blockchain, and are all informational units equally weighted for attackers? It's a whole thing. What's cool is that it's like if we were to drop a ball from a building, that's like a single equation. You're like, okay, well, here's how you model that, and okay, maybe there's some like air friction or something that comes into play, but when it comes to this question of the information entropy of that we're dealing with in a blockchain, we're like it's much more creative. It's a little bit more loose in terms of how you apply the concepts. There's still principles that you have to maintain, but I don't know. Like I said, it's really, really early on, and maybe there's nothing there. Like I kept running into this problem where it's like the problem in a lot of cases, depending on how you modeled it, kept reducing down to effectively a statistical question. And while there's a big relation to information and entropy and statistics, they're not exactly the same thing. And so in a lot of cases, I kept feeling like there was this sort of breakdown in just having to do stats again. But there's still I still feel like there's something there. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
You might be onto something there, but
maybe we should seek out. Maybe we should. I don't like to bother the MRL guys too much because I'm not like those guys are actually like hardcore developers and mathematicians. Like Rucknium is statistician and. Like I just have these ideas and I'm like, well, I don't know how much merit my idea may or may not have. And I don't want to distract them from what they're doing. But maybe it would be worthwhile to get someone that's like truly understands these concepts at a much deeper level, like the master's PhD level, to see if they might be able to provide some insight.
I would be up to donate a little bit of money to just pay Rucknium for a few hours just to talk about those ideas, maybe. So
have we ever heard Rucknium talk like his voice? Or
no?
He presented for Monerotopia remotely both times, but it wasn't his. I don't think it was his voice.
Zeno was his
and I think
voice.
I even interviewed him. I interviewed him once, and he was responding via text, like text to voice.
Yes, he's one of the very Anon guys.
But we could probably get him. We could probably get him to jump on this show or Monero Talk, and we could just have an open chat with him. That'd be great.
Mr. Wonderland and Brandy, I want to ask, what do you guys think about the Genius Act and the Clarity Act coming up? I think that will be better compared to talking regarding entropy and all that, because since Monero, I think, if a state directly doesn't act, means the resources that they have pulled from those Israeli startup, it's still minor. But the state could pull up some huge, even 30%. If the hash rate is 30% consistent, it's still a big threat, but that is not important. I think the surveillance world will get much tougher, and there will be a migration to privacy chain, privacy infrastructure, but we have to solve some of the problem of centralized mining pools.
I have a really interesting point that I have yet to hear anybody talk about when it comes to the Genius Act, Intel acquisition, all of that other stuff. And I should probably go find like the source for this, but I swear I remember this. Maybe one of you guys do. Intel was talking about leasing out its fabs. Does everybody remember when Intel was talking about leasing out its older node fabs?
Yes, I do remember that.
Okay, and here's the thing. Intel brings in Pat Gelsinger like a proper engineer, and he had this solid plan for regaining ground as far as like how Intel could catch up and how they could be profitable by leasing out their old nodes. And there was a lot of people, myself included, that were excited about the idea of, okay, well, we could do our own like higher end silicon, or we could, like this would be an interesting option. Somebody has to be interested in doing this. And it turns out that a lot of people were interested in, because not even needing the bleeding edge node, it would be cool to kind of design your own microchips. And then Pat Gelsinger gets in charge. He doesn't follow any of these plans. And then there was like kind of this pivot towards GPUs. A lot of money was pivoted towards GPUs. And they start really, I don't know if everybody remembers, but like the A series, right? The, I forget what the code name was that starts with the A, but you had Archangel or something, and then Battle Mage, and now Celestial, I think, is the next one. But anyway, they make this hard pivot. They make the software to the point where the old A models were actually competitive with some of the previous generations of NVIDIA and AMD. And then once again, they just like hard stop. Even though it's like finally a profitable endeavor, people are actually buying them for like gaming and research and all that. And then they even presented this graphics card that had 2 dies on it and like a massive amount of VRAM. And they were talking about like a super competitive price, and they had actually figured out how to make a competitive low priced GPU with lots of RAM or lots of VRAM and all this. And then that just hard stops out of nowhere. The price tanks, and then the US government has like some kind of stake in it overnight. And it just like the whole thing is super, super conspicuous to me why they're not acting like a company. And then Pat Gelsinger is gone as well. And this new guy comes in and he's like a total government bootlicker. And not only that, but the dialogue about how if NVIDIA is going to ship out, then it needs to put like hardware and firmware level snooping devices on it. And it's like, we all know that they were already doing it. It's not like China doesn't know that they were already doing it. It's not, but they go public with the idea of, oh, we can put these in, even though they already do. And then NVIDIA is like, no, we would never do that, even though everybody knows they already do. Right? It's the politics of it is very bizarre to me, unless they were up to something. Oh, and they shut down the fabs too. Remember, they were building in like Arizona and Texas. Sorry to interrupt you after I just stopped, but like they were building these big fancy fabs in Texas and Arizona, and like the building is done, and they have all of this money, and they're like really close to finished, and then all of a sudden they just stopped.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm worried about. I think Intel, NVIDIA, AMD, even those Chinese ones, they are downgraded, but still they are getting better. I'm not worried about the technological advancement that will come. But the thing is, the state will try to put like Snoopy hardware level. They will try to break it. So that's, I think, next stage is the privacy community will have to learn how to make our own CPUs and GPUs. Yeah, it will get worse. But
what do
still,
you think the odds are that the reason why they shut all of this progress down for like reinventing Intel was just the threat of people being able to make like a decent microchip on a decent node was like absolutely horrifying to all of the different state actors? Like, I wonder if that's the real reason why a lot of this stuff is going on.
I think spying is not the primary reason. I think geopolitical competition. I think both United States and China, they are trying to get artificial super intelligence, not even artificial general intelligence. They're trying to get either quantum computer as well as artificial super intelligence. That's their main goal. Then secondly, next problem is the surveillance. Then they will try surveillance. But their primary goal, don't forget, is military supremacy. It's artificial super intelligence and quantum computer. Other than that, they will try their next objective. So yeah, we should at least know that.
I just want to quickly say thank you because I have to leave now. And also, Bawdy, if you are hearing this still, I dropped a Simple X link in the
Crystal,
private
what
chat
are your
here.
thoughts on the Genius Act and the
Cool.
Clarity Act?
Thank you, Mr. Wonderland. I'll definitely check that out, and we'll connect on Signal.
Yeah, I can't really say anything to the Genius Act. I don't really have a strong opinion on that. I'm
well, Europe
mostly...
is gone with that Mica and all that.
Politics is a shit show, and we shouldn't
rest of
bank
the
our
world
hopes
is
on
in
them.
trouble.
All right, have a good one, Mr. Wonderland. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you all for all your efforts. Bye-bye.
I have a question for Bawdy specifically, but I would love anybody's opinions. So there's been a lot of discussion about how to respond to not just the qubit thing, but all that. But you know how for the longest time I've been pointing out, I am not understanding why everybody is so convinced a 0.6 per 2 minutes block reward is the right answer. And I just want to retrace my steps. And it's not because I haven't looked. I just haven't found any convincing arguments that this is the correct answer. The concept of tail emission was supposed to be it continues to secure the blockchain. That's step one. The concept of low transaction fees is to keep it cash. That's part two. Part three is the idea behind tail emission is that you end up with an equilibrium. So for example, last year there was approximately a 3% increase in the gold supply. Most years it's like 1% year over year. And the theory is whenever it becomes more expensive to mine gold, you have a pullback on the mining operations. Whenever it becomes more expensive to buy gold than just mine it, you have an increase in the mining operations. Or silver, like when there's not enough silver, people start recycling silverware or whatever. It becomes more lucrative to recycle the silver in your, whatever, solar panels. But the idea behind tail emission originally was the equilibrium mathematics. So in other words, the continuous increase in the supply will eventually equalize with the lost coins or the value. And my point is, okay, it shouldn't matter as long as it's consistent what number you settle on to a point. Like if you go up a little bit, if you go down a little bit, you're really only moving the equilibrium until you get to the point where you're adding so much to the supply that it's like changing the actual fundamental underlying economics, which I would point out 0.6 Monero every 2 minutes is like nothing. Okay, so we are clearly not there yet, and we will never be there yet with 0.6. But my thesis was, okay, we don't have modeling to demonstrate that 0.6 is the right number. We don't have like real data to say like, oh yeah, we found it. This is the, but the thing is gold is on a percentage basis a year, and it's already way more than like a Monero tail emission. And gold holds its value really well. Gold does a really good job being money. And so, and then if you look at like, the American imperialist empire with their just madhouse money printing and no sense of stability whatsoever, the USD still maintains quite the lucrative status as cash. And I'm looking at it like the Monero community is so fucking convinced that like we should not mess with the tokenomics. But even 3 years ago, I was saying, look, it's so new. If you were ever going to try to settle on what the correct amount of tail emission is, it would be literally right now. Like, this is the perfect stage in the life cycle of a crypto to be like, we have some data, we know tail emission is working, but now we have found ourselves in a situation where there is a reason to believe that there needs to be an improvement in the economics of the mining algorithm. And we know that tail emission is going to keep getting closer to 0% of the total supply every single year, year after year. So whereas gold keeps like a certain percentage of the total supply being mined year after year after year and holds its value, Monero is getting fewer and fewer on a percentage basis of its tail emission. Are we sure that 0.6 is the right number? And wouldn't that have a huge effect on like the profitability of mining? And then the other thing is, let's say we were to increase the size of the block reward. What if just all of it went to peer-to-pool? So for example, you have your 0.6 no matter who's mining it, and then let's say like 0.1 or whatever for this is always peer-to-pool. And if peer-to-pool doesn't claim it, it gets added to the next block reward. And so it's like this ever scaling growth in the value of mining from peer-to-pool if the peer-to-pool doesn't find it. And so it creates this growing incentive to move over to peer-to-pool anytime that the reward wasn't found. I mean, am I crazy here? Like, where is the actual argument that 0.6 is the right number? I'm not finding it anywhere.
I would support your idea if it was 0.5 to all the other miners and then 0.1 to peer-to-pool.
But you see what I'm saying? It's like, why? Why is everybody so convinced that we can't change the tail emission?
Yeah, I mean, it was my understanding when I first got into Monero and we talked about, I heard devs talking about tail emission. They said that maybe it might need to be tweaked in the future. I never looked at what the modeling was or what the reasons were for 0.6 and why that was the set point. I mean, you have to choose something. I don't know how arbitrary they felt that it was or not. I never really looked into that. At the moment, it's like if what you're saying is true, that there really isn't solid like data and math and modeling on why it should be 0.6, then neither is there. Yo, hang on. Bro, hey, stop. Then like if there's I lost my train of thought. If we don't have good solid data and modeling, math, whatever, on why it's 0.6, then neither do we have a good reason to change it. You know what I'm saying? I do agree with you though that we shouldn't take this like hard monetary, we should never change it or you're going to be exactly like the Fed if you change it even once. And it's like, no, we have to be data driven. And I know that Jay Powell says that as well. But, if we come up with a better model and there's real data there to change it, then we should be open to doing that. I mean, we should have resistance to just willy-nilly changing the emission schedule. But I don't think that's like I don't think there's a social contract there. I never saw one when I came to Monero. It was always like, well, yep, this is where we think it should be. Probably we might need to tweak this in the future. But yeah, I mean, kind of with you, Alaska, there's really no reason to
because like
hold into it.
I remember it being like nobody really knew that it was the right number. And then all of a sudden everybody just like entrenched themselves into 0.6 is like the holy grail of inflation. And I'm just like, but why? And this was like 3 years ago. Like, hold on now. Where did this change come from? Why did we all of a sudden just decide that this was hard-coded into the reality of the universe? And then I brought it up again 2 years ago at the first Monerotopia. Like, guys, don't you think that this would be the time to try to figure out if this is the right number? And then at the last Monerotopia, I even remember I was sitting with Ray Youssef and I was like, tail emission is this brilliant idea. And it's the first time that you can control it like algorithmically with a computer versus like the way gold does it or whatever. But shouldn't that also give like kind of cause to concern to make sure that you're absolutely certain that this is the right answer? And like,
well, we can't be certain. Like it's like, for example, Satoshi didn't know how to do privacy when he made the thing. And so like some things you kind of have to just do, even if you're not quite sure if it's the right answer or not. Did you ask any devs, right? Did you ask any dev level people, hey, what was the thought process that led to 0.6 and how confident are we in that number? Like, have you, because Ray isn't really a dev, a Monero dev. So have you asked the devs what they thought or what their perspective was?
Not yet, because I spent the last couple of days trying to hunt down if there were models that were used to construct 0.6. I'm actually a lot like you, where it's just leave them alone until you're reasonably sure that you're at least sort of aware of what you're talking about, because it's not my native language,
You could post it on Reddit. Like if you made a post on Reddit and say, hey, I'm trying to understand how this was arrived at and what our confidence is. I bet you someone like RB Runner or what's the other guy's name? He's a mod on Reddit for Monero. Anyways, good, nice guys. They'll if you post on Reddit, they'll probably respond to you. You could also ask ChatGPT or you get on Nano GPT and ask any of the models, turn on Enable Web and ask if they can dig through the internet and find those discussions.
Actually, I think I'll do that right now. That's a good idea.
Great. But I think we have already seen those discussion happen in other community also. Remember, Grain? It's had 1 coin per minute, but then it suddenly have those other disadvantages, like it will crash the price, or if it's interactive, you'll see low adoption. And I think other coins like Zeno as well as Firo, they started having those tail emission discussion. Even I saw those. So they just went with one Firo or one Zeno tail emission because they wanted to make sure that there is enough security budget. So yeah, I think there should be enough discussion, but I don't think we should immediately try to switch something important as tokenomics in Monero. It's too important. That's why I think people get jumped about of proof of stake as well as ASICs. I think we shouldn't even go that route. First of all, there should be discussions, but yeah, proof of stake discussion and this one ASIC discussion, people will jump around because they will see that as a huge threat, a centralized attack vector. Same with the tail emission.
Yeah, I know that it's one of those things that if you change it one time, then you get everybody in the world saying, okay, they changed it once. That means they can change it again and rug pull you.
Yep.
But I can prove that that's not true.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope fallacy argument. It's like saying, well, if we let the gays get married, then we have to allow bestiality. And it's like, those aren't the same thing. And I understand what you're saying, though. It's about the social aspect that people will say that, right? We saw that with ETH, where they changed, they literally changed the incentive structure once. They've spent years doing extremely detailed evaluation on why they were going to change it, how are they going to change it, and then to try to never do that again. But it didn't matter because you still had all the maxis out there being like, oh, it's just Vitalik is just JPOW for Ethereum, and they changed their incentive structure one time and now it's over. And it's like, those are silly narratives and we can overcome that. If it makes technical sense to do, then we should. I'm not convinced that it necessarily matters that much. I bet it's something that if you got in the neighborhood, it's probably fine. Like right now, I don't think that changing that is going to fix the problem that we're experiencing, right? Like the selfish mining attack, that's true no matter what your reward incentive structure is.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, another thing. Have you guys noticed this one? This one, they are trying. I thought they will go for GPU coins, but they suddenly went with ASICs like Dogecoin. Do you guys think what's the reason behind that?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you ask
I think they're just capricious.
Remember, they didn't even went for Litecoin. They went for Dogecoin, and the one which is they are mining with ASIC. It's a merge mine coin, which they have taken over the Litecoin. The hash rate is even higher than the Litecoin, and Litecoin has one important thing: MWeb. which I think the state is very worried about, because in MWeb, yeah, you can get scaling privacy, but not that much privacy. But if you implement one protocol like coin swap protocol, or if you implement like large scale atomic swap with Monero, oh boy, that's gonna cause a lot of problem for the state.
I think they're capricious. I think it's just a feels. They're like, we feel like Dogecoin would be the best thing to attack, so that's what we're going to do. Or we feel like Monero would be the best thing to attack. I mean, they're promoting a shitcoin. Let's just be honest. Like, all they are is a marketing thing. That's all they care about. They don't actually care about like real money. They don't care. They're just a capricious community who's going to do what they feel like doing, no matter what or whatever.
It's they said it's gonna take them like some period of time if they want to switch over. So yeah, I mean, we're not out of the woods, and we're actually, until we fundamentally fix the problem, like at a, again, at like a really fundamental level, we're still in danger of the same thing, right? Selfish mining has been known for a decade, but we've almost never seen it, and now it's here. And maybe I mean, so by the way, Dogecoin and Litecoin are the same thing. They're the same coin, or they're merge mined. So an attack on Dogecoin is an attack on Litecoin. But yeah, I mean, attacking Monero, headliner event, right? Suppress Monero while they get the bull market altcoin season going, and then pivot over into Doge. And if they can do that, they get really big headline stuff. Cubic is, a household name among crypto people in that case, and then their coin pumps even harder, which gives them even more ability to attack. So it's also a question too, like, the mining on all these proof of work ASIC coins is extremely centralized. It's all Bitmain. It always has been. Like they produce 80% of the block templates for Bitcoin. So it's like it's false. It's like theater, decentralization theater, where you supposedly have these separate pools, but they all have the same block template all the time. It's like, well, they're not separate pools. They're just Bitmain, or an associate of Bitmain, a corollary kind of corporation that they stood up, to receive and yeah, okay, there's a little bit of like individual hash power out there, but anyways, yeah, I mean, shortwave is spot on there. Yeah, they're capricious, and they want to promote their shitcoin, and they're probably going to pump the shit out of it. So, and there's always, it's the new thing that makes the 1000x. It's not Litecoin from 10 years ago that's going to go, 100x or 1000x. It's the new thing. So that's probably, there's a bunch of different motivations here going on, but definitely just attacking Monero is one of them. But in a way, okay, maybe that's good, because it forces us to come revisit at very fundamental levels our mining, our consensus mechanisms. So, all right, guys. Anyways, I'm gonna peace out here unless someone has something very pressing for me, but I gotta get going.
Yeah, I think this would actually be a good place to wrap things up. Bawdy, man, thank you so much as always. Excited to see how your work pans out. I'm sure we'll be hearing about it on this show.
I'm excited
too,
man. I hope it works out.
Yeah, enjoy, have fun. I know you're having fun doing it. Hope it works out for you. Thank you, everybody else. Shortwave, thanks for riding Copilot. Alaska, as always, thank you. I2P, nice to see you back in action. Yeah, let me go ahead and close this out. And we'll be back next week, probably back to our regular time, Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Hope to do a Monero talk this week. We'll see. Otherwise, see you guys next week. Adios. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odysee, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.
Look who it is. Hey.
Oh, wait, we're not ended here.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet, Store 7.